You ready?
Yeah, how we doing on sound checks?
We're good.
Good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Welcome, everyone, to the Unorthodox Film Podcast, where we discuss movies that meet specific genres, topics, or scenarios, and we recommend movies that we enjoy in hopes that we introduce our listeners to movies that they haven't seen or heard of. With our guests, we discuss movies that we have seen before and engage in conversation based on our memory and recollection of our enjoyment of those titles. At the end of each episode, we roll a dice and select one of the recommended titles to watch together. We will then discuss that film on our next episode with fresh eyes and determine whether the film holds up, as well as explore the film in a more detailed and critical discussion. I am Bradford Clark, and with me is my co-host, Joseph Quick.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back.
And we welcome Dani Parker as our guest today. Hi, Dani.
Hi, how you doing?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Great to have you here.
So in this episode, we will be making our recommendations for action comedy movies. But first, we will be taking a look at our film selected on our last episode, which was, we made recommendations for vampire movies with Quinn McLaren, and randomly selected writer-director Robert Eggers' Nosferatu from 2024. So, Dani, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here.
For our listening audience, would you briefly just introduce yourself, what you do, and what you are a part of in the film industry?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Dani Parker. I specialize in stunt work, and I do a lot of just like any kind of filmmaking. I just want to be on set and create things with really awesome people, because you find like people from all walks of life in this industry. So it's just a game of like networking and making friends, and that's what I'm all about mainly. And then getting to like get pulled by a rope or like fall off a building or set on fire. That's just cherry on top.
Very cool.
Yeah. Fun times. Yeah.
How long have you been working in film?
I started while I was in college. I didn't know really what I wanted to do in college, and then kind of as a joke, I chose a film major at Oakland University in Rochester, Michigan, and they have just a great connection with the Detroit film scene. Mm-hmm. So I worked on like a random, just indie, not paid anything in 2019, and that was my first like exposure on set. And I was like, oh dang, like this is like a legit thing that people are doing for a living, and like they still get to stay close to home, they still have family, they're making friends, and that was really just like my first exposure to it. So I kind of like hunkered down, like dug my heels in, and I was like, we're going to do this. We're going to figure out a way to make this work. So
that's awesome. So before, with it being a random choice in a major selection, did you have an affinity towards movies? Were you a movie fan growing up, or like when or what about the movie industry struck your bug? Was it after you experienced it in school?
I think like as a child, I always had a thing for dramatics, I guess.
Okay.
That'd be a way to describe it. I was in gymnastics, and I just liked, that was my like exposure to performing, mm-hmm. I guess. And then just watching movies with my brothers growing up, watching them with my family, was always kind of our way of like connecting. Yeah. We did like plenty of other things. We were a busy family, but like the movies just kind of have like a way of escaping from reality and like just letting things go. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do it all. Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, that was something that I really enjoyed, because like you can do a lot with movies, like whether it's kind of like more of an intellectual like piece or something mm-hmm. that like really makes you think. But then there's also those movies that just like make you laugh, and you kind of like see the world from a different perspective. That's just like the movies that me and my brothers would always enjoy would be like the spoof movies. Like we watched Scary Movie like a million times, and it just made fun of all these really serious things. But it was a chance for everybody to be like, okay, wait, we need to calm down. It's not that big a deal. This is actually hilarious.
Right. So I think movie watching is a social activity. Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of times where, especially in like the dating world, there's the opinion of, you can't start a date with the movie because you're not talking. But at the same time, a good movie can spark conversation.
Yeah, it gives you a
afterward.
lot to talk about during the waiting for the meal part.
And I feel the same way with like spending time with your family. You know, you're like, oh, well, you're just vegging out. And it's like, well, you could be if you just watched and went your separate ways, but you are engaged in something that, you know, like you said, it could be something intellectual and saying something. It could be just something refreshing to get the family's, you know, mind or even just the overall character to liven it up. So I think that's for me, it's always been an important activity.
Yeah, and I think we all share here at the table the same kind of dynamic of coming into the dramatic sort of creativity at a young age. I did it through community theater. Bradford did it through dance, and you see it through gymnastics. So that's
Yeah. I have a bunch of funny stories about like first dates and going to see like weird movies. Cause
really,
like in college.
What's the weirdest movie someone took you to?
Oh my gosh, for a first date, probably Lighthouse.
Oh, wow. So I have yet to see it, but that's Robert Eggers. And from what I understand, it's really, really intense and weird.
It's not good for a first date.
Yeah, it's intense.
There was Terrifier 2.
Okay, so
that was a first date as well? Okay, so that would be a win for me, but I get it.
I have a history of, because I find it interesting. I think you find out a lot about people like going shopping, like to a place and buying a movie.
Yeah.
And it can be a record store or a Meijer or Walmart. Doesn't matter, wherever sells movies.
Yeah.
You go in, you buy it together, and then you go watch it and have dinner. Like, you know what I mean? Like eat at the table, together, and you can pause for bathroom breaks and stuff like that. I've done that with especially my wife now. Like that was our biggest thing. Like, what are we going to do? Let's just go buy a movie and just hang out. Because it gives you all sorts of things to talk about.
Right.
Walking through your community, talking about, people watching is the funnest thing to do.
Of course.
So, like, if you're not vibing with me there, we're not making it to the movie. So I agree with you on that. But I have one from way back. Oh man, this is probably like 2 years after high school, and I was like 18, and Being John Malkovich.
Okay.
And we bought that, and she never talked to me again after we watched it.
Yeah, you definitely
Thought I was a weirdo.
You don't want to waste your time with
But we
somebody you
didn't
can't
talk
get.
about it. Like, how do you know I'm a weirdo? You don't even know my opinions.
Yeah, the Lighthouse guy, I don't think I did it. We didn't have a second date, but Terrifier 2 guy did.
Okay, see, so there's some forgiveness there if you go for the gory slasher.
Well,
and you had a little bit of fun.
Yeah, it was like a theme because we dated in October. So it was like, we went to see Terrifier 2 and then we went to a haunted house.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
fun
That's
stuff.
clever. That's clever. Well, let's talk about our movie tonight. We watched 2024's Nosferatu, which is a retelling of the 1922 movie Nosferatu, which is an off-brand stolen version of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Correct. Yes.
Right?
And it was really, I enjoyed it.
So, Joe,
First
this was
watch
the
for
first
me.
time for
Yeah,
you.
very
Was it a
rare.
first watch for you as well?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, cool. Great. Two versions.
I saw the older one, though. I had to watch it in film school.
Now, when you watched it, did you watch it colorized or black and white?
It was black and white.
It was. I'm telling you, I watched it recently colorized because that was when streaming is the only way it was, and it's poorly colorized. Like it's not
doesn't
done.
even make sense. It wasn't filmed with colored film. Like,
Each frame was each frame was just a different color. So like you'd see like let's say they were in the garden, they would have like a pink rose color around it in the garden, including the bushes and everything else. But then there would be no color on the face, so that it wasn't a pink face. But it really looked like a 3-year-old was just given frames and like add color to this kid. Did not add to the experience. Now, in comparison, though, having seen the original, and you've seen the original, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So
the way that this one was shot, how did you guys feel about the cinematography in Nosferatu?
I loved it. I mean, I had some subtle notes. I didn't like when the carriage disappeared and it turned into flying. I understood it, but I just didn't like it.
There was a lot. There was a lot of visual storytelling.
There was.
in
There
this
was,
one.
and there were some slight choices where I was like, okay. I mean, yeah, but I didn't necessarily. But just little things. I wasn't like, oh, it ruined the movie. Or just like,
Right.
I would have not done that.
Danny?
Yeah, I really like movies like that are. I mean, it's a movie, so of course you want like visual storytelling to be like a really big thing. But my like judge is if I can't look away from a movie for like a little bit and like still understand what's going on.
Right.
And like for this one, there were like a couple times where like I like went up to like go grab water and like I had my like laptop with me while I was getting water, and I was like, oh crap, I have to like rewind because I don't know what just happened. And like that was something that I was like, okay, this is it.
Yeah, you have to be glued really into it.
But along with that, the music scoring.
Oh my God.
It was like so consistent throughout, just like really helping the audience kind of like figure out the emotions and everything. And the like scene that hit me first was when he was like getting like the news that you have to like go off to like the city and like you have to go get this like contract. And the way that his like boss was like talking to him and like the music starts like rising in, and it's just created this like scary, like creepy feeling in you, and you're just like, what's going on? And of course, like if you know the story, you like know what's going on.
Right. And I like that the score was ever present, but it wasn't overwhelming.
No, it wasn't overpowering at all. It was very the art of immersion was perfectly executed. Like it really pulled you in. So yeah, agreed. Good points. Yeah, I enjoyed especially the use of lighting, and there was obviously some extra shading and stuff done in post, but just the way they lit it was really phenomenal, and the saturation from the color filter they used on the lens was just phenomenal.
With the lighting, one of my favorite tropes or techniques that they used throughout was allowing Nosferatu or Count Orlok to move through the shadows and using his shadow appearance. And on the wall, I get, and I'm sure it was still probably very difficult to do, and it was very well executed. But when in the open of the movie, when she's standing in the curtain, and then he comes through,
cool. Just badass.
It was because from what I understand, he did a lot of things practical. Now I'm sure there's set extensions in there. I'm sure there's other things that, subtle stuff, but overall, a lot of the stuff was filmed that we saw.
Yeah, a lot of real flame lighting.
And I thought it was handled so incredibly well because it is a dark movie, but I don't think you lose a lot of detail.
No, they definitely lit well for proper contrast and just really played in that. And it was masterfully done.
So how do you feel about the way that the story was told? We've all mentioned that it's something that we know, right? If you're familiar with the story of Dracula, if you've seen Nosferatu, it plays the story beats very similarly, but then obviously it took its own creative wills and making, a modern day version. What was your thought on how they told the story?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought that like just the pacing of the scenes was important too, because a lot of times in like horror movies you can kind of like get stuck and you're like, okay, like how long is like this one gonna last? There's only like one time where I was like, okay, this like seems like a weird shot to like linger on this, and it was the scene where they introduced William Dafoe's character, and like I was just kind of like, okay, like what's going on? But then in a weird way, I feel like that set up like the other scenes that he was in, because they were so like quick paced, and like he was the one that kind of started to like drive the story and be like, all right, this is like what's going on with the woman. Like this is why we're seeing this happen. And it's like a concern. It's demonic. It's like all this thing. And everybody was just like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
it did for me too. Like at that point I was like, okay, I get that it's Willem Dafoe and I'm excited to see him in this role, but it did drag a little bit, but that was the only part of the movie that did. So yeah.
And it is a slower paced movie. So for there to be only one scene where you might have that time to think like, oh, I'm ready to move on. That's not bad. When I saw it, I did see it in theaters and I saw it with a group, and I could feel you can just sometimes feel the audience and how they're feeling. And it was confirmed. My feelings were confirmed when I was in the restroom after, and you could tell like that was a complaint for some of the people, was that it just was too slow. They thought it was silly the way that Count Orlok looked. How did you guys feel about his look, the bald and the big mustache?
So this was the first time I watched it, and like the thing that actually freaked me out was like the fingers.
Oh yeah,
because like there's so many shots of it, because like they're trying to like hide his identity and like the way they looked like the whole movie. So I was just like thinking about the fingers, and it was a joke in my head. Like it made me laugh because of if you guys seen like Deadpool and Wolverine, that like I was thinking like the lady fingers.
Yeah.
I know that's not the question.
It always makes me think of What We Do in the Shadows, because the one roommate lives in the basement and is Nosferatu. And they're like, cut your fingernails. Just silly stuff.
But back to like the entire look of the count. I thought that the last shot, like where they're like, wait, we can
full spoilers.
That's right.
Full spoilers on this. I should mention that. Yeah, we are going to spoil those for us.
Disclaimer. They're not listening. It's their fault.
But like that full shot at the end, like that was just for me. I was like, this is a weird scene. Like I was like, I understand. I kind of like that they like did it that way, but I was just like, it's weird and uncomfortable.
So
it's supposed to do that.
I've done my whole life a deep delve into this kind of stuff because I loved Bram Stoker's Dracula growing up. Came out when I was at a young age, and it's just all the
Coppola movie.
Yeah, and all the other silly vampire movies.
We just don't want anyone thinking you're as old as Bram Stoker himself.
Well, no.
The movie came out when you were
yes, the movie. But I also then love the lore. Watched all these other ones, and I read Bram Stoker's,
of course,
and that's saw Nosferatu and got into the Bela Lugosi era of Dracula and all that stuff on my own. So like this is probably the most like real kind of gory take that's ever been done. It's always been romanticized to a point, and this took that like literally and made it real, like very like so fabric of reality.
Yeah. That's what Eggers wanted. So there were two things. One, Dracula in the book and in previous movies has been for like a voluptuous character, right? Somebody whose status and presence was not just alluring, but in the original book, highly sexual. Like the Dracula story is really riddled in sexuality. But he wanted it to be more realistic. And being that the part of the country that Transylvania is in, he knew of the time that mustache was more likely than a long-haired,
No, and I loved the call to reality for the Impaler look and like to show that he's like battle worn and scarred from even when he was alive.
So here's my interpretation.
Probably chewed on by rats the whole time he's laying down there. All these things.
Having this second watch, I realized more, like Danny had mentioned, they do a very good job of hiding him in the shadows. And having known that after watching it once, I was paying a little bit more attention. And what I realized is through the conversation, he's been dead and buried a very long time. And, correlating what I know about the Dracula story, he is sick, but he has to heal. And so that's why he's feeding on Thomas, is to start to get better, but he doesn't fully drain him. So
and you can
he's
see
progressively,
him getting better.
Even at the end.
His hands start off as white, almost transparent. Right. You don't really see much of him, but he's ghastly, ghostly.
And when we see him in that final
visceral
scene
and threatening
with was it Emma, Thomas's wife, he is much healthier. We start to see more of the light reflection. But in that shot that Danny, you were mentioning, that overhead shot afterwards, he is shriveled, like he's got no body whatsoever.
He's a carcass. He's a shriveled up, like mummified, like.
And I like that as a choice, especially for that final moment of her body lying with his body, as opposed to the Hollywood tradition of like making them disappear in ash. Like, I think that would have been far less impactful than to see the residue of the engagement.
Yeah, the imagery was very strong in this. So like. As a father, and it just every time you had to kill the kids, like leave the kids out of it.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah,
that one, I had to be like, just watch the movie show. Like I turned Dad off because I was like, not the little girls.
So that happens a lot because that actually is in the book in all versions of Salem's Lot. Children get demolished, but that's a Stephen King thing too. Yeah. He'll always kill the kids. He does. He's terrible to children.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the cast. What were your thoughts? Did you have a favorite character or character that was a performance that stood out to you?
I'm a big fan of, I forgot it, the Craven guy.
Frederick, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Aaron Taylor Johnson
is an amazing actor.
Well,
he's dreamy too.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, hey, as a straight man, I could admit when a man is dreamy. Okay, of course. It doesn't mean like it doesn't question my. I still don't like what's swinging. Doesn't mean I can't say. Okay, yeah, I see it. I see it.
But I love him.
But his talent,
and like just everybody always says it's about actors, but his range, like,
No,
like,
honestly,
the accents and like just like the entire what the director did with like just like creating this and making it believable that it's like from this time period and like doing this like kind of thing. The writing, I was like, all right, they paid like a lot of attention to detail and like what you were saying about like the mustache. I didn't even know like that kind of thing, but like they did their dramaturgy research stuff. Like they got it,
100%.
and then like just seeing it all come together with the actors' performances I was like, this is pretty sweet. But him and then Thomas. I love Thomas from like movies that I would watch with my sister, like Warm Bodies and like just
Nicholas Hoult has been around, and that's what surprised me. He blew me away the first time I saw this. I was like, I've never seen a performance like this from you, and he does good performances. I've never seen a bad performance, but this type of role with this type of seriousness, because you know he was the guy in I forget what character name they call it, but in Mad Max Fury Road, you know, he had that obsessive, you know, cult character.
He's a zombie in Warm Bodies.
He's always like an awkward, like white
he was
guy.
in X-Men. He was Beast.
He was Beast in X-Men. Yeah. But this one, I mean, it was just it's full and like you had said, being the way that they wrote the dialogue and must have been coached because there was a consistency in the accents and the deliveries throughout everybody. But it was old-timey without feeling forced old-timey. Like, it felt very natural to listen to their way of talking. And I liked when they were out of town, how they just allowed for example, what he called the gypsies, the outside town people, spoke their language, and he understood it and then spoke to them in English. I don't know how real that is, but I liked it for our engagement.
It's good for the audience.
Yeah, I thought that was good for us to live in that world and not have them.
I also didn't think he could fully understand.
I got that feeling as well.
And the old lady that was like telling him to pray, he had no idea.
Yeah, and then when he was with the nuns, he had a translator. Right. So there was the girl there telling us what was going on.
Right.
There was a lot of energy when he was interacting with the gypsies. I feel like he was just reading vibes.
He had no idea, because as soon as he gave the horse over, I was like, oh, you're never seeing that again. And then he was like, what happened to my horse? I'm like, you gave it to a gypsy, man. That's why I called the kids and said, hey, this one's easy to steal from.
One of the last notes that, or departments that I really want to talk about, I guess twofolds, but art. So wardrobe and production design. What were your thoughts on that?
It was stellar.
I mean, I don't know if you can really complain. Like, the world looked very realistically lived in. Specifically, that scene you guys were talking about with the introduction of Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up again.
After you know, he recognizes him and the energy changes and he stands up and then he gives him a hug. The room puffed full of dirt from the movement and then the slapping of the hands on the inside of his coat.
I love when they properly do that. Like, some places lived in and like been a while, like in a big area with just somebody not cleaning it. It's gonna. Yeah, you can breathe that shit in. Like, it's not like one hug and it's like poof.
So I had read that they actually got to go to a castle. I don't know if that particular castle was, I think it might have been the same one they used in the original film. I don't know. But that was a real castle where they went for Count Orlok. What I found fascinating about it was we got to see it as he entered. We saw how big it was, but when we lived there, we never really saw a whole lot of it.
No,
we saw that dining
rather
area.
Small. And even when he tried to like run around through, there was a couple like grand chambers or long hallways, but they kept it very small. Like he was trapped. It was a very maze. Like
So you felt that isolation as well. Did you feel that isolation?
Yeah. I guess like
I think that was the goal of the filmmaker. And it was well done.
It seems like he was just like in like a very secluded part of it too. Like he wasn't like
if he felt like he could get out, he wouldn't have stayed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? He didn't want to be there. So.
No.
He jumped out the window.
Yeah, he made several attempts.
The only door he could even fathom to open had a lock on it. And it led to the crypt. Like, every other door was impossible. Like, he couldn't even beat something off of it to open it. So.
Right.
That being said, there were only two other doors that we saw.
Exactly. And I feel like the hallways, there might have only been 2 or 3 hallways, and he was up and down.
Yeah, at least it felt that way. Yeah.
You didn't see like in Coppola's movie, even if they weren't in a room, he would do like establishing shots of other rooms where you just saw how massive and excessive that this Count Dracula was. Whereas Count Orlok lived. He even mentioned attendance, and I felt like that might have been a lie. Like, oh yeah, my attendance, you're too late. The attendants have gone and retired, but he was there however long. You never saw another soul, not one.
No.
And, that we're never given time to see whether or not Thomas even questioned that.
During the day, there's no one there. That's when he's wandering. Because that's when he sleeps. That's when...
Right. Now, presumably those were dreams. He felt he was dreaming all the way up, I think, until he found the body.
He thought he was dreaming when he followed the gypsies and saw them kill a vampire. But then he woke up and had mud on his feet. So there was a lot of, sleepwalking or whatever.
Well, there seems to be a big problem in that era of everyone using ether, so that might...
I mean, the doctors were prescribing it. They were just handing it out. It was either ether or opioids. So,
let's go around.
Here's some cocaine. You got ghosts in your blood.
The doctor turned down a cigar and pulled out a snifter. He pulled out of his pocket.
Yeah, what do you think was in there?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Got this from my buddy Freud.
Yeah. So let's go around and talk about what your favorite part or moment or technique was in the film.
I think for me, it's a small thing that we haven't talked about really at all yet, but like with the wolves that would just like the companionship with Count Orlok. I thought that was like kind of a cool dynamic, and like the way that they did it is that they were always in the shadows. Like you could never see like the full body of them, like while they were like hunting him around or just like kind of following him.
And they were always in chase, but they never seemed to get him. They were just pushing him to where he needed to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just threatening him just enough.
And like then you can like think about like, okay, so like maybe it's just like kind of like this like imagery of like his own fear. Like it's not really, it's like another one of those things. It's like not really there.
Is he being hypnized?
Exactly.
Is it all in his mind? Yeah.
And also I just like animals, so that's probably why I was.
Fair enough. Like, I'm a big fan of dogs myself.
Yeah.
Joe?
I got just the imagery and the use of of shadows and not being afraid of embracing the darkness, especially because it's about the King of Darkness. Like, I don't think any of them have really done that aside from the actual original black and white Nosferatu, which had really no choice. But at the same time, I think they did it artfully then. And I think that this was just, aside from Edgar's wanting to tell a more raw, real version of it, more real to life, I think that it's just a great testament to appreciation and growth of cinema. Like why wouldn't that same story be this good now? You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, I think he just did a justice to the retelling that Hollywood doesn't often do.
Yeah, I agree. His use of imagery, and this to this date is still the only Eggers movie I've seen. So now I've definitely got to watch, The Witch, Lighthouse, Northman. Forget what it is, but those for sure I know I need to see, and I just haven't seen them. It hasn't been a matter of avoiding, but I didn't want to miss Nosferatu, just being a fan of everything that is Nosferatu. But his use of, I guess they're oneers, but whole scenes weren't necessarily oneers, but he lived in very long shots and utilized the blocking to move the camera. So, for example, it was a conversation between, I think it was Frederick, Thomas, and Willem Dafoe's character. It was three people. Willem Dafoe and Frederick were definitely there, but the three of them...
And the doctor.
And the doctor. So as they were talking and Willem would pace, it would rearrange the order of how the three of them were standing, or they would walk into a two-shot as the camera panned and they walked. And so,
like when he came back with the drink. Now
so all the cuts were made within the blocking and the movement of the camera. So it allowed for there to not be a static viewing, but also no abrasive cutting. Like you literally stayed in there.
You felt like a fly on the wall without being voyeuristic in any way. You were almost a character in the room that couldn't be talked to or seen.
And that was used very often, even when we first are introduced to when Lily Rose Depp wakes up from her first nightmare, and then we're up close on her. Then the camera tilts up, and we see Thomas, and then it moves and starts to jib behind where her pillow was to move to the other side of the bed, where he then walks in and sits down with her. And now we're into a two-shot medium of them on the complete opposite side of the bed. all flawlessly and smooth to the point where we were able to stay within, and we got all we needed out of it. We got the close up, we got the wide, everything moved wonderfully.
And her performance in general was one of the best in the movies. It was just amazing. The range she showed emotionally, but the physicality.
The physicality is what got me.
The contortioning, the face.
I was like,
just out of nowhere. And that was another one that was done all within, because I was thinking to myself, did they put a body replacement in there for her? But they couldn't.
Level.
But
it started on her, close up on the pillow, it came out, and then as it kind of, I think it framed it like a wide with the bed and her body like center frame across left to right, and then she bridged, and I was like, there was never a cut in there.
Yeah,
no.
And then it goes like right into a shot of like her with Thomas, like just like they're both at their faces. Because I was like looking at that, I was like, I'm jealous. I can't even do a braid jacket.
and that like violently, it was ferocious.
Yeah,
like, is your back okay, girl? Did you get checked out after that?
And what's really wild, I don't remember if it was the same scene. I don't think that was the same scene, but another one of her possession scenes where they're discussing the truth of the matter. Like they're each realizing, when she starts talking about how he told me about you and what you did, and then it like escalates into them like having the very first time we see them as a couple having sex ever. And it's all it was all one shot from them having a loving conversation to her getting possessed to then him, just
basically demasculating him.
Yes. And it was all in one fluid camera movement, and just that had to be a day or multiple days just to get that done right between the lighting, the rehearsing. So those are the things that really stand out to me, and I'm glad you brought I was going to come back up to the cast because we really did need to talk about
that shit got real.
Oh yeah. But yeah, she gave an all-star performance. I was looking at what
is simply amazing. Yeah,
what the movie was nominated for. When it comes to Oscars, it did get 4 Oscars or nominations, but none of them were for performance. They were for costuming. I'm looking for it right now to see if I can get it right. But costume, music, and production design were definitely 3 of those.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, 100%
but not
agree.
Performances?
No,
I mean,
none of those performances garnered any. Yeah, and I flipped through, and it was a lot of. They received a lot of different awards for a lot of different festivals and things. Ones I didn't recognize, so I wasn't going to just bring up. But very, very, very few of them listed any of the actors, and there was one nomination for Bill Skarsgård as Orlok, and one for Lily, but they were festivals I've never heard of. How do we feel about Skarsgård? Are we starting to see too much of him in this area, or do you think like he is doing great at like just filling these roles in different capacities?
He's amazing at these roles, but I mean, I do miss him as just an actor. You know what I mean?
But he is still doing out there. I mean, it's not like he's not doing.
Well, then I guess he's not doing things that I want to see. Like I only see him as Monster Man.
This year he did.
I know him as.
This year he did Boy Kills World. But then we saw him he was in Villains, so he was not a physical monster. In that one, but I love his range, and I honestly had no idea. So when I saw it, I didn't know who Lily Rose Depp was, so I had to look up like, who is this girl that's blowing my mind right now? But I also had to know who was Count Orlok, and I looked. I was like, "There's no fucking.
Of course it is.
Get out of here!"
Yeah, I had the same thing. I was just like, "What the
dude? What they can do with prosthetics, like."
But just the way that he like talked too and like changed his voice, like he gets into his
That's what I love about. I don't think anyone else would have given us that immersive and gross. Because here's what I think. I think in comparison,
without changing my voice, even if it's very close to my own, it's always,
but I mean,
some sort of
what he decided to offer was. If someone else could have done it, for example, there might possibly have been a world where Bill Skarsgård could be Batman, and we don't get the Christian Bale. You know what I mean? Like he was able to.
He was amazing.
He was able to do something tonally to his voice that didn't sound forced or wrong,
and like unrecognizable. Like to me, it was unrecognizable.
To me, it was very much like a call out to like Gary Oldman's version of it. Obviously done differently because a tribute, not
right.
Recreation.
But yeah, it was right up the alley of where I was hoping this movie would go, and that's all the reviews were saying. Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm very pleased being a lifelong vampire fan.
Do you feel, other than obviously the source material, do you feel there was too much borrowed? I don't think I really saw anything borrowed from any other time. Like I didn't see anything where I was like, of course we were going to see that.
No. I think there was tropes where I could see like, oh, but that's just the lore anyway. You know what I mean? But it was also like where like you can see like inspiration in maybe a performance or a thing, like little tidbits. But overall, it was trying to be a fresh telling, and I think it succeeded. It definitely changed enough of the lore and like kind of lived in its own little world that it was making enough to be like, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but monumental.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think they took advantage of the advancements too, like in like technology and like film. Like we knew how to do so much back then, but now there's like so many more options. And I think that in a lot of ways, that's where new movies that are like being like redone, that's where they're falling short, because they're just kind of like following the same formula, checking the same boxes.
Right.
But they did really like put an effort to kind of like showcase like, hey, there's a lot more skill, there's a lot more talent that we have now. So like, here you go.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
I agree. So where do we stand on recommending, Joe?
Oh yeah. I mean, if it's a vampire movie, I think you should go see it. But if it's a Nosferatu movie, you should double down. Like, and this one especially is worth the legacy.
Fair enough. Danny?
Yeah, I think it depends on what kind of movie watcher you are, because it's definitely like more of an artsy style. It's going to be slower paced than what I'm sure like some people are like used to, or like whenever they run out to movies. I think that it's the type of movie you'd want to watch with more people that like want to talk about it, rather than like just like go see the movie, enjoy it, have fun.
Yeah.
And like you were saying that you went to see it in a theater. I think that would be a cool way to experience it too, if there's ever that opportunity.
I really thought that after award season it was going to see another, because it was released right around Christmas time. I didn't see it until January. And I did go see it alone.
I'm sure it'll see theater resurgences.
Well, it'll always see some sort of visit, but usually right around the Oscar season, some of the bigger movies will like to re-release, because if people will ignore it and then, it got Oscar nodded, I want to go see it.
Well, I also think
but
there's
I agree.
not a lot of movies that people want to see hitting theaters.
Correct.
And this one was one of them that got people.
I knew
Exactly.
I wanted to see it, and
it
so
didn't need to stay long. People were filling the seats
because it had been out for a while, and I had a free day. I was like, I'm going to go see this movie. I didn't have time to wait for anybody else. I went to go see it. There was because it was down to two showings.
Call me.
It was down to two showings. So I went and I saw it, and I saw it by myself. But to what Danny, you were just saying about like watching it with people so you can talk about it, I had to immediately find someone like who's fucking seen this movie, because there was so much. I was so overwhelmed with what I just saw, from the story to how he filmed it to the performances, the music, everything. It was just a full on experience for me, and I was like, I need to share that with somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a cinemaphile, like we all like, it's so rare that we get something that hits all those notes.
Right.
It just, it gets you like, this is why I love this game. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
It's like the Barbie versus like Oppenheimer. Like that's what I was thinking about. Like when I went to see Oppenheimer, I was like, I want to talk about that. Like there's so many cool things. But like Barbie's just like, you're just like, go watch it. It's fun. But yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, when those two were out in theaters, I saw Barbie and have yet to see Oppenheimer.
What?
So,
why?
Because now it's not in theaters, and I wanted to see it in theaters.
You choose Barbie?
I didn't. Well, it was a group. It was a group
outing thing.
Yeah, it was a group thing.
I saw both of them.
Yeah, well,
I didn't see Oppenheimer in theaters, but I did see it on a big screen.
You don't need to like. That's what I was saying though. Like you don't need to see Barbie like in theaters. Like,
no,
Oppenheimer that would have been cool to see.
I don't know that 2001: Space Odyssey opening wouldn't have hit the same.
That's fair. That's fair.
Although the rest of the movie, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, no, Barbie. Well, I'm not hating on Barbie. I thought Barbie was a great movie.
I did too.
But you are correct. It was not a necessity to see in theater. You did not gain or lose anything where you watch. You can watch Barbie on your phone. It'll be as
exactly.
They made Will Ferrell the president of Barbie. I can only take it serious for so long. Like
that's where you drew the line.
Then you make Kate McKinnon the ugly Barbie, like that. I was when she's folding herself up the wall.
Man, I love Kate.
She's
I love
so
Kate
good.
McKinnon.
Yeah, like this movie is that performance was timeless. Like her as ugly Barbie was just amazing.
So before we close the coffin on Nosferatu, any last words that anyone wants to bring up that we haven't touched base on here?
Go see that shit.
Yeah, Danny?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, no, we all recommend it.
Tis a drama.
The newest movie we've ever got to cover in a deeper discussion, and I'm glad because I do feel like there's a large number of people, while it did well in theater, a large number of people who are wondering whether or not this is for them or not.
When this one won the dice rolled, Brad grew a big brainer. He was like, finally, fresh meat.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to talk about this recycled old Joe movies.
I like those. It was just a nice change of pace.
You only get, it's like what, 20% that you get that breather. So because I win like 80% of these roles.
So let's move on. So now we're going to talk tonight and make recommendations for action comedies.
I'm ready.
Danny, what about this topic sparked your interest?
These are the kind of movies that I want to make. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of opportunities that I've had in the industry to like hop on an action comedy and get to do something cool. But these are the movies that like I most enjoy watching, seeing. Like, I would never have to be like in a certain mood to enjoy an action comedy. It's just like,
it's good enough to throw on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
a good romp. Yeah. There's somebody getting beat up, a couple laughs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Before we came on to record, Danny, you were mentioning that the titles, a lot of titles ended up being, relatively new titles. And I found very similar when I was looking up and doing some research, because I had made the list of like my gut instinct ones. And I was like, I don't want to forget something that I'm just not thinking about. So I went on and I found, Wikipedia has a good section for a lot of different types of movies, and they have it broken down in decades. Now it's Wikipedia, so
taking choices off the board.
Take that for what it is. But what I found was that it wasn't like the 50s, 60s, 70s had very, very few, 5 a year or less, 7 maybe. But then as you got into the 80s, you started crawling to see like 12 titles like this a year or 15 titles. Then in the 90s, there were a few years where it was like 20, 21. It wasn't really until the 2000s where the amount of titles for what qualified as an action and a comedy really started to grow. So I think for me, what I discovered is like the 80s and the 90s were like the birth of what we know. As the action comedy.
Yeah,
and the 2000s is really starting to perfect it into a genre that has staying power.
Yeah, now it's booming. Now, like, pretty much every action movie has some sort of comedy, and our comedy movies are embracing action.
And that was the other thing, too, that I was thinking about, where I was like, okay, a lot of action movies have comedy, but, like, for example, I would say Predator has some funny moments, but I wouldn't call it an action comedy, right?
Yeah,
a lot of my...
That's not what I meant at all.
Went to, like... I looked at films that really, really leaned into accepting that they were also funny while things blew up or people got their asses kicked.
Yeah, definitely. Right. I think that, like, the main person that we would talk about in film school was, like, Buster Keaton, like, Charlie Chaplin, too. Like, they were like the pioneers to like that kind of thing, and like slapstick.
Yeah,
the visual.
I was comedy. Really like when you said that the Gamble, 1937, 1936, and the Gamble was like I'm like, that's the quintessential. Like anything near that's before the night. Because I was thinking like, where can I find something? Because I like to push the boundaries,
of course,
without actually breaking the
rules,
the branch. Yes, sure. We're the metaphor. But yeah, no. So so shout out to that and any Buster Keaton movie, because I wasn't gonna go. It's so hard to find. I didn't want to put him on the list and have it win and we can't watch it.
Right.
Yeah, Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, the Marx Brothers.
Nowadays,
Jackie Chan. Every single Jackie Chan movie. Yeah, but we're gonna start.
Sorry. I just want to get the broad ones.
No, that's it.
We've started a new thing where we're letting the guests choose. Do you want to start since you picked the topic, or would you like one of us to start? It's up to you.
I'll start.
Okay,
there you go.
Yeah,
jump right in.
I'll be brave. Yeah, it's funny. It's just like, tell me to jump off a roof, no problem, but tell me to public speak. And I'm like, all right, I'll start off with like the most recent one that I was like, this is pretty sick. This is a good action comedy movie. And of course, it's very fitting for what I do. But The Fall Guy.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
I love Emily Blunt so much. Ryan Gosling, of course, and Ryan Gosling really his action movies are just always enjoyable, always fun.
Yeah, he's got a great range, and just the amount of talent that was on camera, but the off camera talent, the stunt people, there was so much.
Yeah.
Just almost heroic awesomery that they pulled off in this movie. It was uncanny.
Yeah. Oh, also Aaron Taylor Johnson's also in this. So
he sure is. Looks like he's third on the call sheet.
And he cracked me up in that shit.
Yeah.
So he's about range. He was so funny.
He's an actor that I'm not sure if what I've seen of him, because I've heard his name a lot because of he was,
and he was Elizabeth Olsen's twin in the Avengers. He was the fast guy with the blonde hair.
Oh, no kidding.
He's been in a lot more, but I know you've seen those.
Yeah, and I'm saying I don't recognize his face and immediately associate a name with
he was barely kind of known then, and he was kind of a chameleon. Now he's kind of come into
just
his
lifting
off.
He's movie star he's always been. But and then also Winston too. The main actors that are in this movie are just all people that I really admire, and I was I love watching these people on screen. So it's really cool. And then also this is one of those movies where they had a lot of stuff out there online and everything with the behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And they really did a great job of hey, this is what a stunt team does on a movie. This is how they act. This is how much effort and work goes into doing all these cool things. It's not just it's not, I wouldn't say it's a thankless job just from the experiences that I've had on set. And I think that's because it's that's a new thing in the industry that stunt people do.
Only recently are they starting to recognize stunt actors for award consideration.
Yeah. I mean, we have our whole we have
you have one through the but when it comes to the public and putting in front of the unknowing.
Yeah. There's a joke that people make that goes around. It's just even if there was an Oscar for stunts, there's no stunt person that would sit around all the Oscars.
That is fair. The stuntman has the position much like an editor does on film, whereas if you've done your job right, no one knows you're there.
Exactly.
Same with the lighting guy.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I haven't seen Fall Guy yet, not because I've avoided it. I really, really, really want to see it. It just hasn't made it out of my plate yet. So I'm looking forward to the chance to see this one. And regardless, I do plan on seeing it because I love Ryan Gosling. I'm a sucker for Gosling.
And Emily Blunt.
Absolutely Emily Blunt.
Amazing. But everybody did such a good job in it. It was just...
Well, like Danny was saying, the concept. Hilarious. For me, anytime a movie about movie making is around, I gotta because it's made by the people who are doing that. So you hope that there's some sort of genuineness, reality to it.
Dude, so many tropes that are just for people like us.
Because I don't know if you guys saw, I don't think this qualifies. It's definitely not an action movie, but there was a movie that came out post-COVID called The Bubble on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about a sixth or seventh movie in a sci-fi series shooting, but they had to follow COVID rules. And so they were all in a bubble and they were in a hotel.
And they kept having to quarantine because it kept getting on set. So they weren't really shooting. They were all kind of going crazy in this mansion.
But the movie, and it's got like a lot of the Apatow cast. And I don't remember if Apatow was part of making that. Someone was. Whoever made that is a known entity. My point for bringing it up is that it's a lot of inside baseball with making movies. And so while it wasn't the funniest movie, I enjoyed it, but I also enjoyed it 25% more because of all the inside jokes where I was like,
it's also got Keegan-Michael Key, David Duchovny.
That's what I'm saying. No, I mean, Karen Gillan
I love Karen Gillan.
Yeah,
She's
right?
cool.
Right?
Yeah.
She's in talks for, she wants to do James Gunn DC World. She wants Poison Ivy.
I would be so dope.
Love her as Poison Ivy.
But I was going to say that about The Fall Guy. They do a really good job of making like industry inside jokes acceptable to like people that aren't in movies.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like my brothers understood it and like
very cool. Yeah, because that's cool. I mean, it's cool to have my inside laughs, but when I saw Babylon and the first AD was losing his shit because of the sound, I was like, I'm looking around like, you guys, no one else gets this. I get you, man. I get you. Like, it was just, there was so much frustration happening. The sound guy passed out in the booth because he had to be private. Like, he was like, it's hot. I need to open.
Yeah, the guy passed out in the camera.
Like,
booth.
This is really only funny to one person in this theater. That's terrible. So, Joe, what's your first recommendation?
My first recommendation is I'm going to throw back to Warren Beatty. We're going to go with Dick Tracy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a difficult one to find.
That's 1990. And so the overview is a hard-boiled detective, Dick Tracy, played by Warren Beatty, is searching for evidence that proves Alfonso Big Boy Caprice is the city's most dangerous crime boss. He may have found the key to unraveling the crime lord's illegal empire in breathless Madonna, an enigmatic barroom singer who has witnessed some of Caprice's crimes firsthand. However, she seems more set on stealing Dick away from his girlfriend, Tess, played by Glenn Headley, than helping him solve the case of his career. And yeah, so 1990 Academy Award for Best Production Design. You got Warren Beatty, Al Pacino, Madonna, Dustin Hoffman.
Oh yeah, it's got a banger cast.
It just Dick Van Dyke's in there. Like, yeah, I mean, how can you just can't go wrong? What do I say? The costuming, the makeup.
So I haven't seen it. In 1990, I was too young for that to be acceptable for me to watch in my household. But I just haven't come to it. It's one that I've always wanted to watch because I've seen bits and pieces. And of course, the marketing at the time, I really, really wanted to see the movie.
Yeah.
It's a live action cartoon.
Yes.
The colors, the costumes, everything was a way to.
So like it was a comic book that turned into a kind of a Saturday morning cartoon in like the 60s or something like, I don't know, whatever. But it was old comic books, even in the 90s when it became a movie. But the way they did it was very like Batman meets, I don't know, because it was new to like comic book movies had almost never been done. I think Batman was like the only thing. There were a few other ones, but yeah, like you said, the bright colors, like the cars, like neon yellow. So is his suit, like.
Right.
All the bad guys like have their own color, like Al Pacino.
And the lighting was very strong. They used
very
actual
harsh
gel
lighting.
tones.
Yeah.
Nice.
Actual gel tones and harsh lighting, and to make it look more cartoony and very like the sets look like almost like it was a play or like staged, you know what I mean? But it leaned into that. And I mean it sold the look so much it won the Academy Award for production design. So yeah, it's very immersive, very good, but it's hilarious, like almost slapsticky because it's an adult version of child humor.
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
That's great.
So it sounds like maybe you haven't seen that one?
I haven't seen either. I was looking at the budget, $46 million.
Yeah, so here's the funny thing about that. Dick Tracy was directed by Warren Beatty.
Starring Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty really loved the property, and he really wanted to do a sequel. The studio didn't, and I don't know if he bought it from them or if he had secured the rights originally before the movie, but he still owns the rights to Dick Tracy. And the reason that we don't have any further Dick Tracy recreation, there's a thing in Hollywood or just in IP rights where you have to, the reason you see a lot of horror movies make a 10 or 11 or a stupid reboot is because they have to continue to use the property in order to maintain ownership
go
of
up
it.
for sale, yeah.
Famously, now several Disney characters are now open platform or
that's why we got
public.
Winnie the Pooh.
That's why you got the winner. Exactly.
Mickey the Murder
So
Mouse. And
to this day, or at least up until 2023, Warren Beatty still owns the rights of Dick Tracy because in the middle of the night, once a year or once every several years, whatever he has to legally mandate, has this one camera interview type show that he'll put on new to that year where he dresses and behaves as Dick Tracy and just fulfills his legal right.
Where can I see these?
I don't know.
Oh, that's what you need to find me. I live for this now. How do I find? I'm going to get Dan on this. I'm getting Dan Rentz. Dan, if you're listening.
I learned that recently, and I was like, that is fascinating because the lengths of pettiness that someone can go to
get what they want. Yeah, well, like I think he probably purchased the rights to make it and has kept the rights this whole time.
Yeah, if you're going to see it in any industry, I would expect this one. So
I mean, you have to be because because somebody coming up after you wants to take your place. Like almost every step of the way. You know what I mean? Like,
So for my first recommendation tonight, I am going to go to the year 2000, at a time when Bruce Willis had like absolutely cemented himself as an action legend.
Yeah.
And he got together with TV comic Matt Perry and did the whole 9 yards.
Yes, dude. Thank you.
The whole 9 yards.
I love this movie so much.
Is about a just an average everyday dentist whose life just gets flipped upside down when a precarious looking neighbor, Bruce Willis, shows up next door and starts to befriend him, only for him to find out that Bruce Willis's previous employment was murdering people.
It's so good, dude.
And
it's so good.
It just goes southward from there with, Matthew Perry's wife, who I believe is Amanda P.
No, Amanda P. is his assistant. He's married to one of the Arquettes.
Rosanna
Arquette. And yeah, she is just insufferable, like beautiful in this role. She plays an insufferable wife. So basically Matthew Perry's a dentist from Chicago who moves to
Canada?
Yeah, to Quebec, Montreal. And yeah, so he's trying to repay her father's debts because her mother's just insufferable to the point where his father-in-law kills himself. And there's a running gag in the movie about how why does the dentist have the highest suicide rate?
Right.
But yeah, so he's from Chicago, where this gangster is from, and now has been like, I don't want to say like what do they call it? Witness protection program, but it's
similar. Yeah, it's similar.
Like that.
Yeah, because he's living a second life.
Yeah,
he's not admitting to being himself.
He's finally gotten out of prison. Like he took the fall, and this is his second chance. Right?
Yes,
and he's like, oh, like I recognize this guy, and
that's right. He recognizes
him.
But the whole thing
while he's meeting him, so it becomes very awkward. Very
the whole
fast.
thing just goes into a downward spiral, and their worlds mix. So it becomes a fascinating, cat and mouse.
Yeah.
He gets pulled in. He's forced to do things. You've got Michael Clark Duncan, right
at the top of
Harlan
his career.
Williams. So it's funny. It's funny and adventurous.
It's everybody at the height of their career. All of them.
Yeah.
Like everybody, like Matthew Perry, Bruce Willis, like into the way. Because Matthew Perry has his own kind of funny.
It was the movie where I fell in love with Amanda Peet, and she lived for like 3 more years in front of us, and I don't know what she's doing now.
Yeah, she made her money. A lot of times they do that. They make your money, go start a family.
My dad is like a huge Bruce Willis fan, and I remember watching.
As is mine.
Yeah, I remember watching like all the Bruce Willis movies. We had to have watched this one, but I was just like so young because it came out in 2000.
2000.
That was the year I was born.
Plus it's less action. There's a little bit of gunfire and stuff.
Right.
It's definitely a comedy.
A lot of the movies that came out in 2000, I don't know what the 2000-ish era, if it wasn't The Matrix or something that like hangs high on a hill, a lot of those movies just flounder under that are still like, who's seen Saving Silverman? Who's seen? I know you have. Just there's a number of these things that came out that. They lived for a while on DVD, but they just don't have the mainstay in the public consciousness. So yeah, it's a worthy one. It's like you said, if you're like looking for something like I'm feeling that action and comedy vibe, you could throw this one on and it's just good from beginning to end.
It's so good. Enjoyable. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I can't believe I didn't even think to put it on this list.
And did you say
blows my mind?
You mentioned the
it has a sequel.
Yes, it does. Also good.
So good. Oh, also Kevin Pollak's in it. He's the kind of comedian that you kind of have to like.
I
love. I know you love his humor, but you also don't like a lot of other famous comedians.
But he only plays that character. When Kevin Pollak is on screen, you know exactly what you're about to get.
No, every time. In Grumpy Old Men, he doesn't do that.
Okay, that's fair.
He has range, but yeah, when he's doing comedy, he becomes a character.
He's up there with like Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci is great. He play a lot of roles, but oftentimes when you see Stanley Tucci come on screen, you're like, oh, okay, I know who he is.
That's fair. Yeah, well, I mean, he comes on stage as the character, so that's how you know who he is.
Also, fair.
Let's not.
They're good at what they do.
Range,
They're good at what they do.
I think you're missing the subtleties. I really do.
I think we're going to have to take a few minutes and talk about this. So while Joe and I sort this out, we'll take our quick break, and we will see you guys in just a moment. And welcome back, everyone. Hey, so when we left, I made the last recommendation. I didn't give the list review, so I'll go ahead and do that now. We started with The Fall Guy, Dick Tracy, and The Whole Nine Yards. So that brings our recommendation wheel back over to Danny. So, Danny, what is your next title of recommendation this evening?
It is Guns Akimbo.
Guns Akimbo.
Guns Akimbo.
With old Harry Potter.
A little Harry Potter. I love Daniel Radcliffe. Especially with the American accent. That's my cup of tea.
Okay.
But yeah, 2019. It was definitely like, I had never heard of it. It was just like something random that came up, suggested. I think around the time that it came out, like I watched it.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is like a weird kind of like not offbeat, but just like a weird storyline to kind of follow. So
it is a bit offbeat. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. But the overview that I'm just gonna read off of Google, just because it's I don't think it's as well known as like other ones.
Sure. Yeah.
But Miles is a video game developer who inadvertently becomes the next participant in a real life death match that streams online. While Miles soon excels at running away from everything, that won't help him outlast Nyx, a killer at the top of her game. Also, Nyx, I love that actress, Samara Weaving.
Yeah,
I love Samara Weaving.
Yeah,
she's so
good.
cool.
I can't wait to see more of her. You know, she's Hugo Weaving's daughter. Hugo Weaving is he's the head elf in Lord of the Rings. He's Agent Smith in The Matrix.
Oh, nice.
That's his daughter, and yeah, she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's great. Yeah, she was also in that
She was
Babysitter.
the babysitter.
Yeah.
Yep, she was in The Babysitter.
So
she
good.
was also like she's
been in a
growing.
lot,
She's growing to be what they call a scream queen because she has been doing a lot of horror movies. Recently, I watched her in another one called Ready or Not, where she's marrying a guy, and as part of the ritual of his family, they play a game. And I'm not going to go into it much more than that, but it gets wild.
Yeah.
What was that one called?
Ready or Not.
Ready or Not. I'll
Yeah.
check that out.
I'm a big fan of like being in a wedding dress and like doing like total
crazy
like,
shit.
Crazy
yeah. So you're a fan of Kill Bill.
See, I've never seen Kill Bill.
Oh man, you'll love it.
I know.
The
really
stuff that she does in a wedding dress, at least for a minute.
Volume 2, anyway.
Yeah. Well, you got it. If you watch the first one, you got to watch the whole
Oh,
thing.
you got to watch the first one.
Got to watch the whole thing.
But the wedding dress stuff is too.
Joe, have you seen Guns Akimbo?
I have 2 times. It's been a while. I do recommend that you see it because I still like. I don't quote it, but I reference it quite often at work. I'll be like, "Don't come at me, Dick's Akimbo." So yeah, I enjoy it. I wouldn't make a joke out of it if I didn't. Yeah.
So I haven't seen it, and it wasn't recommended to me. This would be like the first time that it's really been recommended. I knew of it. I took an early stab at another one of Daniel Radcliffe's movies, and I forget the name of it, but he plays an undercover agent who goes undercover for finding Nazis, skinheads, right? So he goes undercover as a racist. And while the plot was interesting, the script and everything else was so terrible.
Right. Okay.
And then he had Horns, and none of those were featured theater releases, and this was pre COVID, so streaming only movies were pretty much the idea of like a blockbuster B movie on the show.
It wasn't.
I wasn't motivated to see it, but with this glowing recommendation, I'm gonna have to give it a shot.
It's
fun. For sure.
Right.
And Daniel Radcliffe.
Man, I've seen the meme videos of him holding the guns, and I knew the movie was coming.
Right. Well, Daniel Radcliffe did make his mark as Harry Potter and really just
he can do whatever
he
wants.
He even stated, I think, on Fallon or something like that like I can literally just do whatever I want. And I'm just having fun because I don't need the money.
Oh yeah.
So he's just doing like that. Yeah.
Right.
Fine.
Yeah, he'll always have.
If there's interest in it for him, he's saying yes.
Yeah,
that's all. Like if he
and he's done some other weird ones.
Whatever weird creative reason his brain is intrigued.
Someone I forget which one of our topics or how it came up, but someone recommended that I watch. What is it? The Swiss Army.
Yeah, where he plays a dead body.
Yeah,
Swiss Army Man.
Okay,
yeah.
I highly recommend that one too.
Really?
I really
yeah, with Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. Paul Dano.
Yeah, who are both actors that I enjoy, but I was like,
like what?
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
All right, I'm gonna have to do a Daniel Radcliffe dive.
For sure.
All right, so moving on, Joe.
Horns was interesting. Oh, okay.
I do want to see like they look interesting. I just hadn't put them like on a priority.
The next topic for the podcast is just going to be
Daniel Radcliffe.
Like nothing.
I mean,
Harry Potter, like
we could pull it off. Yeah. I mean, that would fit our kind of the way we make topics. Like, Daniel Radcliffe movies that aren't Harry Potter.
He's had to have done at least 12.
Oh, he's got enough of them for
you
sure.
You can also include like his like stage appearance.
The stage, I was going to say, he definitely told us he was going to be serious when he took his clothes off on stage, and people talked about more than just that.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the classic comedian, Mr. Rowan Atkinson. 2003's Johnny English.
Johnny English.
Which is Pascal Sauvage, played by John Malkovich, a villain intent on stealing Britain's crown jewels, has murdered the country's top undercover agents, and mediocre spy, Johnny English, played by Rowan Atkinson, is ordered to prevent further mayhem. But even with the help from quick-thinking sidekick Bo, played by Ben Miller, the goofy agent lands himself in one precarious situation after another. Only when he meets up with Interpol crime fighter Lauren Campbell, played by Natalie Imbruglia, is Johnny able to chip away at Pascal's defenses. Now, this is basically a spoof of every 007 movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like the guy who's, been in forever but never made the cut, but everybody's dead. So the office guy now has to become the field guy.
He's the last resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in classic Mr. Bean-esque Rowan Atkinson fashion, he is just awful at everything, but so bad that he gets good. Like, he winds up getting the guy. So
is it like he accidentally, or he actually does get good?
Like he finds a
rhythm
a rhythm to his ridiculousness.
And
it's still like in his way, like it's he's actually trying. It just happens to work out. He's still failing.
Interesting.
I'm a big fan of like those kind of like, because it's kind of like Get Smart. It's like
it's the British Get Smart. Yeah.
Is it and it's played like is it played like a
James Bond movie?
I get that, but is it like a Scary Movie type thing where the whole thing is or I guess more appropriately like an Airplane? Or is it does it take place in a world that just like weird shit happens like that? Or is it just funny?
It's just slapstick funny.
Okay.
Yeah, it's James Bond where
Rowan Atkinson does a lot of physical humor.
Very physical comedy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like he's definitely stumbling, falling.
I was never somebody who watched Mr. Bean, so I don't have an affinity towards Rowan at all. So I remember when that movie came out, and I was like,
he's much more than Mr. Bean.
That's hilarious because I know him from the Scooby-Doo movie.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Who was he in the Scooby-Doo movie? Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that
in so long.
It was the one where they went to the island.
Yeah.
It was like the owner of the island.
He was the bad guy. Okay.
Joe, you just ruined it.
I mean, Scooby-Doo. Anyways, Johnny English. Johnny English is fantastic.
Have you seen Johnny English?
I've definitely seen parts of it. I remember because like as soon as I looked it up, I was like, oh yeah, it's Get Smart.
They did do a sequel.
I saw that in 2018.
Yeah, Johnny English Reborn.
Was it around the same time that Pink Panther came out? Is that the same?
No, 2018 was a third one. That's Johnny English Strikes Again.
Kidding.
Yeah, Johnny English Reborn was 2011.
So it came out before the Pink Panther. Pink Panther was 2006, and Johnny English was 2003. So Pink Panther was probably riding the wave.
Okay.
That they were all, like, let's put movies out like this.
Yeah, I put them in
which
the
is
same, like,
again,
vibe.
like I was saying earlier, in that early 2000s, a lot of this was starting to come up. So I think they were really starting to dig into how can we
Johnny
do this
English
and
was definitely
do
one
it in
of
our
those
way.
First of that wake where they go like, okay, well, we can have action and be silly.
Right.
I'm loving where it's going. Yeah.
All right. So, let's see, this is my second recommendation. Okay, so I got room to play here. I think for my next one, I'm going to go with Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Okay. Yeah.
Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is
on my honorable.
Written and directed by Guy Ritchie. And Guy Ritchie is one of those filmmakers who, to me, like, growing up a fan of Quentin Tarantino and how Quentin Tarantino was able to inject his style into his films and create something that was admirable, I believe Guy Ritchie is one of the few filmmakers post Quentin Tarantino that were able to do something homage to Tarantino while also creating their own voice and doing their own thing.
I can see what you mean, like, because he has that Tarantino-esque, like, criminals.
The way that he approaches violence and dialogue is, it's different in the sense that there's a lot of implied. You see some, but it's like you're not living in the action. You're living in the dialogue. The dialogue is the world. And so Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is about British gangsters who get into a situation where there is a theft and a diamond at play. And some debt that needs to be paid. Now, the diamond is
snatch.
Is it just money into Lock, Stock? They got to pay off a debt.
Some rifles.
And 2 guns. Yeah. There are 2 guns also, hence the 2 smoking barrels. And what I love about this movie is, like I was saying, his style, Guy Ritchie's style, it was really cemented in that movie. And then you can see it in things like The Gentleman or Revolver, or as Joe mentioned, Snatch. So he's got this way of editing and moving through the story, but he's got multiple storylines happening at the same time. So this like living, breathing comic book style of editing without it being like the movie's humor is in the dialogue, not in the performance. Like it's not like
it is. Yeah, it's very much British humor, and what they say is why it's funny,
right? Yeah. And
how they say it.
What makes it memorable, other than it being a really good story told in a really great way, it's incredibly quotable. It's one of those things where like it introduced us to a crap load of actors. You've got Jason Statham. Some of the guys that had a growing Jason Fleming coming from Trainspotting. Then you've got Steve. What is his name? I think I'm thinking of Snatch again. The guy Dykes. Yeah, Stephen Graham. But it's got Vinnie Jones. It's just all around. It's fun. It's one of those things where it's not really about the people that are in it, which I thought was fascinating the first time I saw it because they were all early in their careers. But it lives on its own. It's a very, very well done script, and it's just all the way around a fun way to watch a movie.
Yeah, I agree. I've loved this movie. I rented it when it came out on VHS. So yeah, I've liked it since it was birthed into the world. It's a great film.
Yeah. I've seen The Gentleman. I haven't seen this one, but like The Gentleman's a much newer movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's one of his newer ones.
Yeah, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels was 90s. What year was that?
96? That's 98.
98.
Is it the same kind of like humor that it?
Oh yeah, Guy Ritchie,
very much
the British humor,
because it's
the way that it's delivering,
the underbelly of classic.
The
Britain,
ending, the dialogue at the end of one scene takes you into another, and like the whole thing is like a dance. Every cut moves forward, even if they're in 2 different parts of a city or in 2 different cities. Yeah, he finds a way to where the way that the rhythm of the world is happening, everybody's in sync to that rhythm.
There's a reason we're moving chapters.
Yeah, and The Gentleman is one because some of his movies don't have that feel. He did the King Arthur with Charlie Hunnam. He did the 2 Sherlock Holmes movies, which probably have a little bit of his style, but that's
they definitely do.
That's like the amount of Sam Raimi you see in Spider-Man. It's some, but not the same. Yeah. But all of his crime tales are very much like that, and I highly recommend it. Like I said, Revolver or that one with
Rock and Rolla.
Yep.
Snatch.
So Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Great recommendation. Definitely made my honorable mentions. We're not on me. We're back to Dani.
Oh man, I have to. Okay, wait. How many of these do we do?
You got 2 more.
2 more.
Ah man.
I know. We'll have
too fast.
We'll have a discussion afterwards of the ones that we didn't make the top.
Okay, that'll make me feel a little bit better.
We'll kind of brush through all the honorable mentions.
Okay, all right. My next one then. You ready for it?
I am ready.
It is the newest one on my list. These were all like also, to be fair, my list was like top of my head. What are the ones?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's why they're all a bit more recent. But 2007 Hot Rod.
Oh yes.
That was definitely an honorable mention for me. It's so good, and talk about like yes, there's action, but over the top with the comedy.
Yeah,
Andy
over the
Samberg
top.
killed it in that.
Me and my brothers like just quoting like everything in this movie, and then just like it's one of those movies where
Cool bean.
you can quote like random lines and just like there's somebody around you that like knows what it is. Like I always just like yell out like, "You look really pretty," and then there's a bit like, "What? You look shitty." I was like, "What?"
You said you look shitty, Denise.
Love those things. But yeah, Hot Rod, I think that like the storyline is fun too. Like it, cause it tries to be like all sincere and sentimental, or it doesn't even try, but it has like that, like, this is like a sincere sentimental thing. Like I'm trying to raise money to save my dad so that I can fight him and kill him.
Yeah. Like, would kick my stepdad's ass.
Yeah.
This has got Isla Fisher, who I love, Ian McShane, who I love.
Star-studded.
I've not seen this. Bill Hader.
Yes.
I knew Danny McBride was in it. Will Arnett.
Yep.
Sissy
Keep
Spacek.
going, baby.
Oh my God.
Keep going.
I didn't even realize that Bill Hader was in it until you said it. Cause like, it's like one of those movies that you just like watch and you don't pay attention.
Sure. And
Like,
that's fun, especially
Now
with
that I know
those,
who he
a lot of those ensemble type comedies, you know,
Yeah.
Anchorman, where you see them and you watch the movie and you live in it, or a 40-year-old version. And as time goes on, you know, they're still in that movie and you still watch it a lot, but their careers are growing. And then you go back to, you're like, holy shit.
What?
You just turned into a dragon, man?
So I haven't seen Hot Rod, and I think it was the Andy Samberg of it all. I didn't avoid it. I didn't know who he was. And I don't know. It just didn't, in 2007, didn't look like something I wanted to see. But I have gotten it recommended to me quite a bit.
You mean
so
it wasn't on your bucket list to see Andy Samberg reenact Kevin Bacon's dance scene in Footloose?
Today I learned, because I was unaware that was a thing. However, if it makes you feel any better, or maybe this makes you feel a little worse, 2007 is 18 years ago. Like, this movie's old enough to vote, so it's not that new.
No, but at that point, I think Brad was busy with baby movies. So.
A lot of them.
Also, too, I wasn't a big fan of like Andy Samberg's kind of humor like my whole life.
Right.
Like, it's definitely, you know,
An acquired taste. Yeah, and he's a hit or miss for me, but this was a hit.
This is a hit.
This is a hard.
So like the last Andy Samberg movie that I gave in, I was like, fine, I'll watch it. Everyone was telling me I needed to see, and I'm going to get the name of the movie wrong, but is it Pop Star?
Pop Star?
Where it was like, oh my God, if you like Spinal Tap, you love this, blah, blah, blah. So I sat down and I watched this piece of shit.
And I love Spinal Tap.
And it was...
Spinal Tap, it is not.
No, it is not.
Stop saying that, people.
It is not. No. It's just... You know, if you find Andy Samberg funny, you're going to find this movie funny. It didn't change anything, in my opinion.
I think Andy Samberg is funny when he brings his funny to something somebody else has written. I don't think...
I think Lonely Island's funny. I love the songs.
The music, yeah. Like, so there's a time and a place. Like, I think sometimes it takes the joke too far. Like, a song is what? 3 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
2.5 hours is too much.
Too much.
Okay.
I agree.
And a whole album, like, I can stop after.
You're strengthening my point.
No, yeah.
But I love Danny McBride. Danny McBride was another one of those comics where there was a period of time where I was like, oh, he's just not for me. But as time has gone on, I'm like, this guy's fucking hilarious.
Is my hat now. It's totally my hat.
Yeah. Also, to talk about the like the kinds of fight, I really like the kinds of fights that they do in like this, like because it's just like random like wrestling, rough and like tussling. But they do like a good job of like using the space, and those are like the kind of stunts that like I like doing, like crashing through a table, crashing through a couch.
Where he takes the trash can and he goes, God damn it, I can go to church every Sunday.
But there's just like a whole bunch of like random, like, why would this happen? Why would you do this? And I'm like, because it's a movie and you can.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you need.
Yeah, and sometimes
like
I have
when
to
they're
remind myself
marching
that.
towards the charity event and then just a riot breaks out.
Yeah.
Like, that escalated quickly.
Love it.
And it's all because of I'm stealing that TV.
All right, Joe, this is your third pick for the night.
Okay. No, this is my wild card because I already picked number 4. I think I had some things up in the AL. I'm gonna go with a classic Kurt Russell film.
Oh,
I forget the year right now. I'm trying to type it in here. Big Trouble in Little China. Yes, Big Trouble in Little China. What year was Big? 1986. Kurt Russell plays hard-boiled truck driver Jack Burton, who gets caught in a bizarre conflict within and underneath San Francisco's Chinatown. An ancient Chinese prince and Chinatown crime lord has kidnapped a beautiful green-eyed woman who is the fiancée of Jack's best friend. Jack must help his friend rescue the girl before the evil Lao Pan uses her to break the ancient curse and keeps him a fleshless and immortal spirit. So good. John Carpenter, Dennis Dunn, Victor Wong, James Hong, Kim Cattrall, obviously Kurt Russell. So good. And, the original, like, Raiden, the lightning guy.
Yeah, the god of thunder.
Of wind and thunder and lightning.
Yeah, most certainly Mortal Kombat adapted from them.
From those. Yeah, those are just a few of the characters that, and just, it's just so good.
I love Big Trouble in Little China. It was in my consideration, but I was like, I think we've talked about it a few times on the show before, so I just saved the space, but it's so worth talking about. It is the epitome of like fantasy action comedy as you could really only get from John Carpenter because...
Or the 1980s.
What I love about it is the story actually went through a lot of like the pacing of how that movie got made, went through a lot of hands before it even got to Carpenter. And there was a lot of discussion of what they were going to be doing. Like the original was actually going to be a Chinese cast in like Old West, and they were going to do an Asian martial arts type movie in the past.
Oh, okay.
And so, there was a lot of different, but what...
Yeah, I don't think it wouldn't have
what
been the
Carpenter
hit it was.
brought, and they didn't think it was going to be a hit at all. And actually, it didn't do well in theaters, but it's gone on for cult status. What Carpenter and Kurt Russell brought to it, between the both of them, because Kurt Russell had a lot of input in it, was they were afraid that it was going to be, here we are making a movie that's supposed to be making reference and respect to the Asian culture, but we've got this white lead character. So they didn't want him to be the standard white hero trope. So if you really watch the movie, he is no hero at all.
He's
his sidekick.
He's an idiot meatball.
Yeah.
Like he's just a trucker with some muscle and gumption. No brains.
This is why I like these movies.
Yes.
His sidekick is the guy who knows everything. He's the go-to.
He can actually fight.
He saves
There's a
the day
scene where
they
they bust in one of the few times, or one of several times that they bust in and they make an appearance like, we're here for the bad guys. And Kurt Russell just grabs his submachine gun and fires it into the sky. And then the roof comes down and knocks his ass out. That wasn't scripted. No. It was scripted different. I forget what he was supposed to do. I think he was actually supposed to shoot like a lot of people, but Russell was like, they were having trouble with the gun actually firing properly. And Russell was like, yeah, but like, again, won't this just make me look like the hero? What if I just come in and fire it in the sky and I miss the entire fight? And John was like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. And it was so good.
It works. It just makes everything, it subverts so many tropes in order for it to be, what it is.
I love that. It's like that Indiana Jones thing where like they had that whole fight choreographed and then he runs up and just shoots
him
because he was feeling sick that day.
Yeah,
we're not gonna fight. It reminds me of Matt Damon telling the story of Jack Nicholson on the set of Departed. He goes, he's talking to the director and he goes, so what the character should do, because it says I kill him, but if you could end it there, but if you leave the camera rolling, and then he says something else, and he goes, and you could end it there, but if you leave the camera rolling, and I could say this, and it could end there, but if you leave the camera rolling, and Matt Damon telling the story about Jack Nicholson on The Departed is so good, but I always think of that when there's these golden gems that actually come from the person who embodied the role so much that they change the film at its or just that scene at its core.
Or like make them make more sense. Like, because if you have a gun, why wouldn't you use it? Like,
and if the freaking thing's jamming up and you're only getting 3 shots of it, 3 shots in the ceiling, and let's save the day.
Danny, have you seen Big Trouble in Little China?
I haven't.
Okay. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's a very good movie. It's very funny. It's very 80s,
the legend continues.
But like, it's just, Worth a watch. Put Big
I
Trouble
want
on
to.
your list.
Yeah, for sure. It's so good. The practical effects, even the special effects that they do are like, because they have to use practical effects. The special effects have to at least marry the look of the practicals, so that it's based in the real world. So it's timeless. So they don't get old. They don't look bad because it had to look, yeah. It's not like it's not all of it CG. So you're like, well, that was computers 20 years ago. It's just shitty. Like,
all right.
I'm glad I got a full-on snicker.
You did. All right, so that brings us to me, and I am going to go with a 2010 movie starring someone who, generally speaking, I don't love the movies that he does, but I respect him as an actor, and I think one of the things he does well is action, and that is Tom Cruise with Cameron Diaz in 2010's Night and Day.
Okay, all right.
Night and Day was a movie that I wasn't sure because I was just, again, it was 2010. We were kind of exhausted of the Tom Cruise, being an action star.
Cameron Diaz in a while.
No, and the trailer for this looked really fun.
And it was.
And so I went and I saw it. So it's a young woman gets mixed up with a disgraced spy who is trying to clear his name. And basically it is Tom Cruise wrapping Cameron Diaz into a whole runaway adventure. And I mean, they end up all over the world. He is, he's spry and sexy as Tom Cruise is, but Cameron Diaz is this balance in this story that I think she's us. She represents the normal man and puts us in this everyday adventure with this guy, and it's fun. It's just
fun. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's got
in theaters.
Nice big explosions and actions, and the chemistry between the two of them is perfect. Yeah. And it's one that I honestly haven't seen in quite a while, and I only thought of when I was looking through. I was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah,
I remember that movie."
I always enjoyed Cameron Diaz, and I enjoyed their chemistry in Vanilla Sky. So
I love Vanilla Sky.
I'm not really a Tom Cruise fan. I got no hate against the man. He's good at what he does. He's great at that. But like I've seen Mission Impossible. I don't need You're just gonna do it bigger and almost kill yourself again. You should talk to a therapist about that addiction. Make other movies. They're better. Like
at this point, I don't think we're going to see anything else from Tom Cruise.
I love Tom Cruise in non-Tom Cruise movies, just like I like Kevin Costner in non-Kevin Costner movies. Sometimes you don't need to be in charge when you're that good.
Yeah,
It's not. It shouldn't be up to you. Let your talent lead and let somebody else make the decisions. That's just my opinion.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think that I still like Tom Cruise movies. Like I'm always gonna like Tom Cruise because
he's great. He's Tom Cruise.
It sucks that he's so good at it.
Yeah,
I'm not hungry for another Mission Impossible movie. I would love to see him push himself in other ways, which I'll continue on about later. But
like the way that I see it, because I've gotten a lot more in into like just like Red Bull does like all these shorts and stuff. And they've been getting more into like their production of them filming like crazy athletes doing crazy things. If Tom Cruise kind of went into that realm, it would be pretty much the same thing. Like people watch Mission Impossible movies to see those big stunts and stuff, but it's the same storyline over and over again. It's just all right, what big thing is he gonna do while he saves the world?
That's my whole point. I don't need to see him almost die again. You know what I mean? Because he's
with the insistence he's 60-something years old.
As an actor, is literally pushing himself physically to do these crazy.
I'm saying that's all I want to see. Without the fat.
That's fine.
Stop lying to me like it's a movie. Just put yourself in peril.
Okay. Oh, then. Okay, we don't need the movie. I'll watch the stunt. That's fine.
I'll watch Tom Cruise movies too. Yeah, I will also watch.
Okay, so stop spending so much money on the movies. Just spend the money on the stunt shows. The stunt.
Sure.
Yeah. He is so
all the hullabaloo. You're already Tom Cruise. Just jump off shit.
He is already so much of an insurance risk that's why he's EP on so many of his movies, because he has to back it.
He has to sign it off.
They won't hire. Yeah,
he should just start his own insurance company.
He just bond himself.
That's where the money is. You never have to pay out anyway. You just collect on the premiums.
I'm just gonna pay myself millions and millions of dollars.
All right, so
and then when I break my leg, I'm not gonna cover it.
It brings us to our last round. So, Dani.
All right. Okay. I gotta. Okay. Which one do I want to talk about? All right. This is a good one. Okay. Jack.
I'm having the same feelings.
Yeah, like I like a lot of my options, but I want to talk about Jackpot from 2024.
I've not seen Jackpot.
Jackpot.
Okay, well, you said Jackpot. I've heard it as like a first and last name, but Jackpot with John Cena and what's her Aquafina. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This was fun.
So I saw trailers for this and I really did want to see it, and then it just fizzled out of my.
I watched it right away. Like it didn't get I didn't see the trailer 3 times before I hit play.
Danny, tell me about it.
It is. I guess
his name is John Cena.
It's not like a future kind of thing, but it's like an alternate way that they do the lottery.
Okay.
So like
it's modern times, but dystopian. Like the world has gone a different way.
But like basically, like you enter the lottery, try to win the lottery, and then after whoever's picked that wins the lottery, you have like 24 hours to find them and annihilate them, and then if you do, you win the lottery.
Interesting.
So Aquafina is like the main character, and then John Cena kind of comes in to be like a security for her.
Oh, okay.
So there's this like element of the purge where like people can take you out because you're the winner. You have to survive for 24 hours. So there's all these private security firms that pop up to keep people alive through it. But really, like if you get the person who's going to win the lottery and you kill them, now you get the money. Yeah. So half of these security firms are just also trying to kill you.
Right.
And John Cena tends to be the only one who's legitimately trying to help her.
Interesting.
Even this giant, like the biggest firm that everybody vouches for, it's just going to kill her. Yeah.
Like, Sean William Scott?
Good. It's so good, dude. There's so many people that pop up in this.
Yeah, like a bunch of random cameos too. Yeah, makes a lot of fun.
where they had like 2 to 5 lines like and they were there for half a day.
Okay. Yeah. Well, now you're changing my excitement. So Sean William Scott's only in it for a few minutes?
No, he's in it a little bit longer.
Okay, there we go.
It's a fun movie. It's funny. It's really like just like quick, the kind of like quick comedies where it's just like one thing happens and then you move on to the next.
And it just keeps moving. Yeah, I mean, that's the role
because
of
the action. Like they're constantly on the run and people are just trying to kill them. So it's just go, go, go. And there's all these little micro comedy skits that they run through.
Like a road movie where you're just running into the next sequence of trouble.
Yeah. And Aquafina is like, she's definitely like a kind of like a calmer character or like a calmer actor in Hollywood, I say. Like she doesn't kind of like reach out or like explore like when she like picks like performances to do, like she always kind of like stays in like that like bubble of characters.
She's a character.
Yeah, a lot of her
she has her sense of humor.
I like her. Yeah. I like Aquafina, but I know that she is for a lot of people she's a make or break when they see that she's in a title show. She's a acquired taste, I guess.
Yeah, I liked her a lot more in this than I did when she was in Jumanji. Like, I feel like the way that she plays the character, I feel like it works a lot better.
I can see that. Like, this role really fit her. But I gotta say, like, when she did an impression of Danny DeVito, I lost my shit. It's in Jumanji. So
I think I liked her better.
But when she was any other role, I can see that.
I liked her in
Danny DeVito. Mwah,
I liked her better in Jumanji than I liked her in 10 Rings. 10 Rings did not work for me because of her.
But also that her character in that was very one-dimensional.
It was very
There wasn't a lot of what she brings to the table in that, but her, like...
Because I was excited because of Jumanji.
She had some jokes in there.
Because of Jumanji, I was excited to see her in 10 Rings, and then I was like kind of bummed.
Well, she's one of those actors that has her own special kind of humor. Like when you see a comedian start acting before they get to the serious part, they have their shtick they bring. And like, I think probably a lot of her got cut out of 10 Rings.
Interesting. Because she wasn't fighting. It wasn't...
She's like Robin Williams or Jim Carrey. She's one of them ad-lib queens. She's just gonna, okay, I know the scene. I've done it 8 times. Yeah. You want more? I'm gonna do what I want now. Like, right. And I love that about it.
But this movie, for her character, it kind of revolves around her. Like it revolves around her humor.
And it was almost written for her. I think.
Like the action that she does too, like makes sense, and it's not like.
I feel she probably really pushed herself physically here. Yeah.
So it's directed by Paul Feig, who he's right up there with Apatow. He came from like what's it called, Freaks and Geeks.
Freaks and Geeks,
right? Going back, right? And I know in the things that he's worked with, he works in that reason I mentioned Apatow, in that vein of working with improvisation.
Yeah,
you know?
Like,
He's
here's your.
He's done 2 movies with Melissa McCarthy. You know, you got The Heat and Spy.
Yeah.
Both of those
I
are
love Spy.
right. Both of those are movies that are clearly a lot of energy and a lot of creation was done on set.
Oh yeah,
you know, based
100%.
off of what the guidance was from the script.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely do want to watch it, and I'd forgotten about it because it was something where I was like, oh yeah, we'll watch it. I'm seeing now it must not have gotten a theatrical release. It looks like it was a Prime release, and that's probably why.
Yes, it was. It was straight. It was straight to
Yeah.
Prime.
I think that like John Cena, I think that his movies he's doing that more often. Like he's doing like streaming releases.
A lot
Yeah.
of people,
I
a
think
lot
that he has,
are.
like,
Well,
a couple more coming out.
he was painted as this action star because he's a wrestler, and he you know he's good at that. But he is so fucking funny.
So I think
He's ridiculously funny, as you see in Peacemaker.
yeah,
So-
I think
Yeah.
he had a very similar trajectory as The Rock did, and I believe they both found their success in the same place, and that was their guest appearance for the first time on Saturday Night Live.
yes,
When both of them came away from the ring and did Saturday Night Live,
and proved
their
that they
episodes
could
were
do more
good.
than physical.
Yeah,
Yes.
their episodes were like people and genuinely enjoyed how funny they were.
Yeah.
That because they both do the action comedy type shtick. Yes,
Yeah.
they can be tough guys. They've
Yeah,
proven
but
that.
the Rock isn't the kind of funny John Cena is.
Not at all.
John Cena is
Not
like
at
Channing
all.
Tatum
But
funny.
but
Like,
John
"My name's
Cena
Jeff," he's that funny.
But John
okay?
Cena's in ring. Like that was his thing too. The Rock was funny in ring because of his attitude. Like you laughed at him because he played it straight, and you were like, "Ha ha ha!" You know.
Because how can it be serious when do you smell?
Right. Well, like
what the Rock is cooking.
that's the exact thing. So when he'd look at somebody and he's making a threat, and his eyes are clearly saying a threat, but the things that he says aren't serious.
Yeah.
Whereas John Cena will straight up, laugh
Be
at
goofy,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's just so goofy.
I can't
and
wait
he's
to
so
see
good
where
at
it goes because, honestly, it's not like it's a door that it doesn't open up the door for any wrestler to come in because not every wrestler can act. But
And not every wrestler can be like a serious comedian.
Right.
I would go see his stand-up special. Like,
John Cena,
I
if he
would
had
too,
one, I would do it. This is what I'm
for
saying.
sure.
John, if you're listening.
I would put him up there with like Kevin Smith. When I watch the interviews with Kevin Smith, his an Evening with Kevin Smith stuff,
Evening with
where
John
it's not a
Cena, he's
stand-up.
hilarious,
Someone
yeah.
asks him a question, then he riffs for 40 fucking minutes,
Yes.
and it could have just been a stand-up.
Yeah, yep.
I see John Cena being able to do that.
100% agree with that. Yeah, and I would. Yeah, I'm down for it too.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want, John.
All right, Joe. What is your final recommendation for the night?
Final. It sounds so.
I know, I had to say it that way.
morose that way.
Countdown.
Thank you for that. I feel better about it now. and this movie deserves that kind of introduction because it's 2008's Tropic Thunder,
Oh my goodness!
which is
I'm
why
glad somebody
I
said
did
it.
that elusive Tom Cruise joke earlier.
I hear you. I was waiting for
this.
it.
This, my friends, my people, has the best Tom Cruise performance of all time. And Ben Stiller himself has said that this role was all Tom Cruise's idea. He approached him. He said, "Tom, would you like to be in this movie I'm making?" He
So
said,
this is what
and he
I
said,
mean.
"Yes, but I love what you're doing. But the only thing I don't see, you're making fun of everybody in the film industry except for the fucking studio heads."
Mm-hmm.
And he says, can I play a studio head and I want to dance? And those were his terms. And half of his performance in the movie is actually from his makeup test. Because he was so off, like he nailed it so much. They were like, "No, we're not reshooting all of that. Like, just do it again during."
Love it.
And they intercut stuff. And just, yeah, so like he told them, "Shave my head, glue it on my arms, like all that." That's his head hair on his. Like this is real stuff. Like yeah, brilliant.
Oh my God.
This is the Tom Cruise the world needs to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
That's what I appreciate about Tom Cruise. I'll tell you where my turn came. Growing up, I didn't really see him as a problem because I didn't know he was a problem. I didn't know he was loony pants. And so I enjoyed things. I enjoyed things like
I didn't know what
Taps.
Scientology was until
Yeah, I didn't know. I liked Top Gun. I liked Days of Thunder. But like those are niche movies. Taps is a movie that I thought I'd be the only one who ever knew. Blah blah blah. Then
I
you get
love
into
Taps, yeah.
you get into the late '90s, and he goes cuckoo pants. And then I saw
about
him
Risky
in
Business?
2001. in Magnolia, and I was like, holy shit.
So good.
There's an actor in there.
Yeah. Not just a face.
What the fuck?
It's a pretty boy who can toss bottles.
And then
Cocktail.
Hearing the stories about Tropic Thunder, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, like all the image that I have painted in me, basically I don't know who the fuck he is, because I know he's Cuckoo Pants, but I know that there's like a genuine person in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tropic Thunder is so funny. Tropic Thunder is what I love about Tropic Thunder, it knows that it's supposed to be a tongue-in-cheek comedy. It doesn't take itself seriously, but at the same time, it takes itself so seriously to be a real action movie.
Yes. That's why, because it's immersive, but aware of itself when it takes you out of it, and it does it purposefully. It takes you out of the world of the movie that they're filming, but not the world that's created for the actors within it.
Right.
And it's just so good.
It was genius for them to open the movie with trailers from everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a full production. So each movie looked a little different. It was just altogether a remarkable experience to introduce you to these characters. I've never seen
Jack Black's character.
way to
That's like
introduce
the white version of Eddie Murphy is only known for farts. Oh man. So good.
Tropic Thunder is good. I'm surprised, but that's actually perfect, because then that leaves room for me, because I was afraid I was going to steal it from you. So I am going to go with, don't know the year off the top of my head, so I'll look it up while we're talking. But Mr. Right with Anna Kendrick.
Thank you. Fuck yes, dude. No, this is one of my wife's, like, as a couple, this is our favorite fucking
I
film.
love that my reaction was like, aw. Like,
it's almost a perfect movie.
So 2015's Mr. Right, a girl fall for is the quote-unquote perfect guy who happens to have a very fatal flaw. He's a hitman on the run from the crime cartel who employs him.
But it's Sam Rockwell.
And this movie has, so if you're not into Sam Rockwell, I really, really say this one's a good one to go with. Matchstick Men is a good one to go with. And I'm trying to think of one of the young,
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That is also a great one. Yeah. But I was going to say George Clooney's,
Monuments Men?
No. Okay, so he's in great movies, but the one where he plays the spy, that does the game show.
Oh yeah, about the dating game.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
what is that called?
He plays
so good.
He plays a hired hitman, and she comes into him, and it plays like a rom-com, and then interjects his interfering lifestyle as it goes until ultimately, she gets caught up under it. There's singing and dancing in it. There's laughter. There's
Tim Roth,
good fight scenes. There's good gun sequences. Like, this movie has everything for an under the radar rom-com.
It's
ridiculous villains.
It's a good date night movie.
Yes, it's a great date night movie. That is a very good point, Danny. Bringing it back. Yeah.
Yeah, you listen to this girl, because I'm telling you, them opening credits will get anybody in the mood. Okay. Once you see Sam Rockwell shake his little strut stuff like that, ain't nobody, everybody's Randy.
Tim Roth. Oh, God,
Tim Roth kills it in this as the superior hitman. Well, supposedly he trained him or whatever. But yeah, dude, it's so good. And then with like the random gangster the RZA plays, who ends up like being like the, savior of the day kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
I like
just because, hey, you got a good vibe. You know what I mean?
I like what they did with Anna Kendrick's character too, because it kind of is like Night and Day, like a little bit like that same kind of like storyline. It does
have that, very similar.
Like, the way that she just kind of like she loses her mind a little bit. And
yeah.
So like I was like, that's cute. That's a good.
Well, she kind of like gives in, like, all right, well, I'm here. I'm gonna play along.
It really has an underlying tone of feminism, powerism. You know what I mean? Because she's going through with this guy who's chauvinist and whatever, and then she meets this guy who's awesome, but he's a little nuts.
Yep.
And she realized, maybe I'm a little nuts too, and she was all the better for it. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Yeah,
That's
and sometimes crazy's healthy. Okay, as long as you keep it in check. Maybe don't go as far as bullets. But,
when crazy is checking you're crazy, I feel like that might be
and it's a movie. It was a bit extreme, but it hit a nail on the head for me and my wife,
Yeah. Well, what I really think is so cool about it is it has like Tropic Thunder, it does what it's trying to do in multiple different directions well. Like when it tries to be action,
it
when
hits
it's
a lot
funny.
of notes perfectly.
But at the same time, it becomes this movie that there aren't a lot of other movies that are like this movie. Like, what would you recommend to me if I liked Mr. Right? I don't know, because like I could give you other elements. If you liked this, I'd recommend this. If you like that, I'd recommend that.
It does so well. It's its own thing. Like, you can't even really compare it. Like she said, it's a lot like Night and Day, but I wouldn't put them on the same.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
this
is storyline.
much more comedy based, much more romantic based than that one was. That one was more action based, but there's notes of all that in both of them.
Right.
But I still don't. They're not. They wouldn't be on my list at the same time.
Right.
Which is why they're on this list, because there's three different opinions here.
Exactly. So I'm going to run down the list that we've made tonight, and then I'm going to hand this here 12-sided die over to our guest, Dani. She's going to roll for us, and then we're going to talk about our discards, and we're going to do it in order. Joe's going to have to sit there and shake his leg while Dani starts, and then he can go second. All right, so tonight we have talked about The Fall Guy, Dick Tracy, The Whole Nine Yards, Guns Akimbo, Johnny English, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Hot Rod, Big Trouble in Little China, Night and Day, Jackpot, Tropic Thunder, and Mr. Right. And I got to say, this is a pretty
strong fucking list.
It's a nice varied list. Like there's not one consistency that goes through it, and I love that. So go ahead and give that a roll and see
well-rounded.
What we're gonna take a look at next week.
5.
This is another Joe pick. Doesn't matter where it's on the list. I thought it was going to be a number 9, but this is Johnny English.
Yes, Rowan Atkinson.
Johnny English. All these movies on here. We're going to watch 2003's British movie Johnny English.
Yeah.
Bold that one so we don't forget it. Available for listeners on Prime Video or rental. And a lot of these are actually on Prime Video or on free services. There is only one movie that is rental only, and that is The Whole Nine Yards. So keep your eye out for that one when it comes up. I do recommend that. But all these other movies are available across platforms to watch with a subscription or for free on things like Hoopla and Pluto.
Freebie.
So, Dani, what movies didn't make the discussion for you tonight?
I had a few of them because I got excited.
Yeah, me too.
The ones in my...
How big was your list? Let me ask you that. How many movies did you
bring
dog
more than 12?
I cut it down. I did have more than 12 originally,
nice.
But some of them got said. Okay, so the one that I was probably most sad that I didn't get to say because it's one of my favorite movies is Tag.
Okay,
I didn't even consider Tag.
Tag was Tag.
That is a good consideration.
It's a good one.
I'm kind of bummed. I feel like I should have said it.
It's in there.
Yeah.
Well, what's great about Tag is it plays as an action movie without any real action, so it actionifies like the behaviors that they're doing, and that's
as they're
brilliant.
Tag. Yeah, it is. It was good.
I'm also like a super big fan of Jake Johnson. Like I will watch anything.
Anything he does.
Fair.
But yeah, so I'm going through all of them.
Yeah.
All right. So Tag, Argyle. Also,
I liked Argyle. I thought it got shit on. You saw it too?
Yeah.
Man, I recommend Argyle. It got slept on.
Who was in this again?
That was Superman.
Henry Cavill. Yes, I saw it for sure. I loved it. Yeah.
Another I would just droop my face.
No, yeah. 100%.
But what was really cool about that was it played as one type of movie and then became another, and people were disappointed because the trailer made it
was another one of his. That was
the trailer made it look more like an action movie, but I thought it was smart and funny.
Yeah. I loved how weird it got to.
Yeah.
The big fight scene, like the dancing fight scene, because
which was shot incredibly well.
Yeah, in my head, I was just like, I can do all of, because I do swing dancing. I was like, I can do all of that. Like that's
hell yeah.
Didn't make any sense at all. I was like, physics does not obey in this film, but it's great. All right, so Argyle and then Kingsman, both of the first two for sure.
Yeah, Kingsman.
My favorite top of the list. Like of
then they did
the Kingsman.
Yeah, the Kingsman with Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, I didn't think
so
that
fucking
one.
good.
I didn't think that one hit the same kind of
It definitely didn't hit. It didn't.
Right.
But it was trying to be different.
Yeah.
You're right. That one
was a flashback.
Was more action, less of the comedy that we got out of the first two that really were funny movies.
The first two, just the fight the way that they filmed their fights was very unique and like very cool and like
that church sequence.
Yeah, the church sequence is
get out of here with that.
That was
a one shot. Are you kidding me? A whole church massacre in a one shot.
Yeah, and beautifully done, dude. That was so good. Yeah, and the way and are you sure that was a one shot? Because the way they there are some cuts hidden in there.
There are cuts. There are cuts. But they shot that. They did shoot that in a one shot, and then got pickups.
And then
but yeah, it was really cool.
The choreography in that is just bonkers.
Yep,
it was so good. So
very hard to copy.
That one.
I agree.
That one came off my honorable mentions as well.
Exactly.
Do you have any more?
I do. I have a few more. All right. So Get Smart was on my list. We talked about it. Johnny English. Game Night. I think that Game Night and Tag are kind of like
is that the Tina Fey one?
They're very different, but they kind of hold.
That's
like
not Tina Fey. That's Date Night.
Oh, okay.
Game Night is
Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams.
It's good.
They're like super competitive like games, and they invite friends over and they
try to create their own games.
Yeah,
and
they try to do this big game night thing, and they like hire people to like come in and like make it like a murder mystery thing.
No kidding!
Just with like a local group of friends and some real criminals get involved. Like
no kidding.
So it's it's fun. It's a good movie.
It's if the movie Date Night were good.
Fair enough.
And then Bullet Train was also on my list.
On mine too. What a great fucking movie.
Oh my god.
It's a shame. It's a shame that it's not a shame.
I don't think that fits under comedy. It has funny notes.
No, that is a comedy. That is 100% edited as a comedy. Brad Pitt's character doesn't ever take himself seriously. It's funny. For me, the whole time it's funny, but at the same time,
I'm saying I find it hilarious.
It's intended.
I'm 100%. Does it fit in comedy?
I think the fights are funny enough. Like the
right, even in the action, there's humor there. There's humor in so many of the different instances.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. Free Guy was also on there.
Yeah, that was on my honorable mentions as well. Yeah.
And then The Other Guys is the only other one that we have.
Oh, okay.
Other Guys,
fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, that's another honorable mention.
Most of those are movies that I didn't even consider. The only one that I did think about was I've just slipped my mind. The one
Bullet Train?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, aside from the ones that I seconded with her, Hot Rod that you mentioned was one of mine. The Nice Guys.
Yep.
Russell Crowe and
Gosling.
And Gosling. That's a newer one. That was really good, really funny. The Adam Project, which was Mark Ruffalo and mainly Ryan Reynolds. Where he travels and
goes back in time.
So funny, and that little kid is hysterical. Mm-hmm. He has Ryan Reynolds figured out.
They match the.
You know how like they're having they got young Sheldon, they got young Chris and young Rock or whatever. They need a young Ryan, and it needs to be that kid. And they'll just follow him up until life till he gets to two guys, a girl, and the pizza place, and anyways, no, but yeah, totally good. The Adam Project. So, and my last one, just to come out with a bang, which this was, it was a toss up between Tropic Thunder and this, but I had to follow the Tom Cruise thing. So that's when I made the decision. So I made that Tom Cruise joke. That made your eyes. Yeah. Team America World Police.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you've seen this.
I'm so happy.
Hold on. Yeah, absolutely.
So proud of
you.
So
we brought this up on action movies before with Nate McDonald, and he'd not only never heard of it, but like the whole concept of it threw him for a crazy loop.
Especially since he loves South Park. Like how do you not know this?
Man.
Okay, wait. To be fair, I haven't seen the whole thing because.
But you're aware of it.
I was in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. When we were watching it. I was on a phone.
No. That is the funniest thing I've heard all day.
I was on a phone call with Bobby Lehman, actually, pretty much the whole time the movie was going on. And I came in at the
sex scene.
And they were just like, Danny, we can rewind it for you. And I was like, nah, guys.
I'm cool.
You missed all the setup.
Gratuitous puppet sex.
You missed all of the setup to why it's a real story. That movie is so tongue in cheek, and the guys are brilliant. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, because that movie's surface level is funny, but if you stop and you look at some of the nuances in there, they're saying a lot about
deep, dude.
Yeah. They are actually talking talking about a lot of important things glazing over them.
They're Team America World Police.
But then you have
they
like
believe that America thinks it is.
The
and
production
they should not
design,
be going over there.
The fact that if you look closely in the opening sequence where they're in Paris undercover, and there's a town square with a fountain, and as the camera moves in, if you look at the bricks, the entire sidewalk is made of croissants. It's that kind of attention to detail.
It's amazing.
That is like, holy shit, what did they do?
Well, they hate actors.
Yeah,
right? They've said this famously. And so all the money that they would have spent went into the puppetry and the production design and the sound design. Like, they did not waste a penny.
No, it was all very good.
And they even put the hating actors joke in the movie.
Yeah.
Matt
Damon.
I love Matt Damon, but
so that was your last recommendation.
That's my last recommendation.
Okay, so I have a few left that,
there's
that
a
also
bunch
were
more. I can't talk for days,
of course, and we could. So the ones that
I shouldn't.
I had the ones that I had bookmarked to talk about. That I didn't get to mention were 2018's Game Over Man, Netflix movie with the workaholics guys, which is like
Adam Driver. So funny.
Die Hard, but extra funny. It's not as good as Die Hard, but it's such a good.
It's that guy from Pitch Perfect, right? Is he in that?
Adam Driver.
That one?
Is that not Adam Driver?
I don't know. I'm gonna say
Adam Driver.
Not Adam Driver.
No,
oh yeah. Pitch Perfect. Yes. He's one of the three.
He's
one of the three.
Name?
Yeah. He's the guy from Righteous Gemstone.
Yeah. What's his?
Adam something.
It is Adam.
Yeah.
Why am I saying Driver?
I don't know why you're thinking I'm gonna go
because the one guy's really short and the other guy's really tall, so it's a juxtaposition. Yeah, I know it's a short guy, but that's funny.
Adam Devine.
Yeah,
and the tall guy's Anders.
Same amount of letters.
So Game Over Man, Beverly Hills Cop. The first one is the one that I was going to recommend, but a very good series. Like probably one of the OG when it comes to like straight action comedy. Knew it was a comedy.
Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there's just some 80s movies here that I wanted to mention, and the list turned out the way it was. So Last Boy Scout with Damon Wayans and Bruce Willis, where
Bulletproof.
Not on my list, so we'll add that to yours.
Popped in my head.
But yeah, Last Boy Scout is got that energy of Die Hard. It's more of a comedy than Die Hard is, but let's not. Die Hard's a comedy. It could have made this list, but it's more action than comedy.
Right.
Bruce Willis just added the comedy.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
So as an addendum to that, my recommendation is Last Boy Scout. The Interview with Seth Rogen and
James Franco.
Yeah.
James Franco.
That's a good one.
A slept-on movie that got pushed aside for politics. It's just
so good.
So funny.
That's how you know you made a good
So
comedy.
taboo.
Right?
Pushed aside for politics.
Guys,
I agree. That's a good statement.
Too real. We can't.
We can't.
It got released.
We're gonna piss it off.
I loved it, dude.
The 2001 movie with Brad Pitt and Julia Roberts, The Mexican.
Yes.
Great. Another romantic, but not as...
What's his name? It was one of his last roles.
James Gandolfini. James Gandolfini is one of my favorite performances by him, but it's about...
he's so good in this.
About a couple who goes on their separate ways because he chooses work over her, and then she gets kidnapped, and then their lives get back together, and it's just chaos, and Brad Pittness and Julia Robertness. It's just great.
One of the... Just small little point that I love about this movie is this is one of the few movies that showcases when you shoot your gun in the air, a bullet will come back down in the general vicinity. And they actually showcase a guy dying from it.
And then the last few I have here are Blank Man from the 90s.
Oh, I've mentioned that before on this.
Yeah, where a neighborhood kid just decides that he's going to try and save the neighborhood, so he makes himself a bulletproof suit, and he's just like a straight nerd. Also, I think Damon Wayans.
And David Allen Greer.
And, the chaos ensues.
George Alexander.
80s or early 90s style. Ghostbusters 2016. We already know I'm a huge fan of the OG Ghostbusters, but I am
the girls.
I am a proponent of the female Ghostbusters. I don't know what people are talking about. The movie opens like a standard Ghostbusters movie. Like the opening scene is
I love
direct.
That. That's one of my favorite scenes.
Like that's how a Ghostbusters movie starts.
Yeah, I think the problem that people found was they weren't used to like the female comedians' humor. Like if you're familiar with it and you know it, like you're expecting.
And that's what I loved about it. I loved that it was the spirit of Ghostbusters. Like it told a story in the way that Ghostbusters was, but it was like, this is a new crew. Mm-hmm. We're in a different world because we saw all the other Ghostbusters in a different light than that world. Yeah. So it wasn't, to me, it wasn't canon.
Yeah.
And then they each individually, like the original Ghostbusters plays on the strengths of the comedians that played the roles. So I didn't 100%. Want another Venkman, but I got a Venkman-like.
So my thing,
and that's what we need.
My thing that I noticed is I watched it like right around when it came out, and like I had no idea about any of the female like actresses. Like I never watched any of them in anything before.
So it came kind of Melissa McCarthy. You had nothing.
Okay. Then I started watching SNL more, and I like learned like who they were and like what their humor was and kind of what to expect. And like after that, and I watched it again, I was like, oh, like now it clicks. Now it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I definitely think it's because like some people may have been in the same boat as me, like when it first came out. I like it.
I think if it had a flaw anywhere,
they were looking for Ghostbusters, not a version that these comedians were known for.
But when it comes to remakes, like it was as respectful to what I was looking for as a Ghostbusters fan, without just doing fanfare. It created a whole new world for me to live in.
I respected that they were like, "Hey, look at what we could do with it." Yeah,
because as much as I liked the third
for all
movie,
the haters, you got the next two.
The third movie. I forget what they called the third movie, but the first one with Paul Rudd. Well, as much as I liked that movie, what I didn't like about it was I didn't like all the winks and nods to me.
And so then there was Frozen Empire.
Yeah, while I'm sitting in the theater, there were so many moments where they're like, you original Ghostbuster guy, this was for you.
There
wink,
was too
wink.
many of them. Yeah,
I'm like, fuck off.
There was this one
but
shot.
there was enough of the new shit that it was a good movie.
No, I still like it.
Yeah.
In Afterlife, there's this one shot where like the girl, like the daughter, like winks.
Yeah,
the most awkward wink ever. I love it.
Me and my friends, we like looked at it and we were like, did they like edit it? Like, did they have to like have her blink? Because it looks so weird.
It's because it was, I forget what moment that was, but that was literally breaking the fourth wall to wink at someone like me who grew up. And I forget what reference was made at that moment, but that was one of those times where I was like, oh, come on. Like, I appreciate what you're doing, but you don't have to call me out on it.
I've enjoyed that actress since she did a movie with Chris Evans about a gifted child.
Gifted?
Gifted, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I haven't seen it. I liked her in Ghostbusters, so I'd like to see another thing.
She's a child actress. She's been in 3 or 4 things that are really good. She always makes... Or whoever's choosing her roles. You know, she might not be picking them being that young.
Was she the young Captain Marvel? I think she was the young Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
There was.
Oh, really?
Was her or there's like one other girl that kind of looks like her?
I think it was her.
I got 2 more titles, and then
regardless, she's a brilliant little actress. Yeah.
And then we'll sign up. Excuse me, I always get the hiccups. Lastly, I have Blade Trinity, which I think is the funniest of the series.
Yeah.
Me too. I brought it up on the list.
Yep. And Once Upon a Time in Mexico. The conclusion of the
Desperado trilogy. Yeah, dude, that is fun.
A lot of Johnny Depp's performance in that was real quick. Let me sidebar.
Wasn't it like supposed to be a fever dream in some?
Let me sidebar real quick. So the way that Robert Rodriguez gets his movies done is he takes advantage of all the things that we in production love to see when it comes to saving money. And so he gets a lot of stars in his movie. And the way that he does that is he creates a schedule and a way to shoot these things so he can shoot them out. So he gets them like things like Sin City. If someone wasn't available because it was all shot on green screen, he'd shoot one side, have the same camera set up when the other actor was in, shoot the other side, and then you can composite them together. Once Upon a Time in Mexico was before that, and it was not green screen. There was a lot of in time. So if you notice, a lot of Johnny Depp's scenes are all by himself.
Yeah.
And he riffed a lot at this point. A lot of his lines, like he says that line about the short and curlies, or are you a Mexican or a Mexican? Those are all things that he just riffed off of.
Yeah.
So a lot of the gems in that, and so as a result,
because Johnny Depp's fucking funny.
A lot of Robert Rodriguez movies can be a little bit messy. Like they're not ever going to be Oscar-winning, Coppola-compared type movies, but he just has fun movie making and then tries to save the studio money.
Yeah.
The Willem Dafoe lookalike was a crew member. It just happened to be like, holy shit, that guy looks like Willem Dafoe. Cast him.
That's awesome.
But so Once Upon a Time in Mexico is the conclusion. It's the silliest. It's the most fever dream, like Joe was saying. And it's just as badass and over the top.
It is. It's really
Antonio Banderas comes in and slays, and it's just, That's my other recommendation. I got a call. Sorry,
Anyways, yeah,
drying up.
All good recommendations. Every single one of those honorable mentions is not a throwaway, but you know we can't go on all night. So yeah, that list was amazing. I'm glad to maintain my 80% King of the
Yeah,
Die.
of course. We're going to be watching. The blank went away. There it is. Johnny English on our next episode. Before we sign off, I want to ask everybody, what was some of the movies that we mentioned that you love? What are some of the movies that we just forgot to mention? I know we didn't talk about Lethal Weapon. There's so many other movies out there, but we didn't forget them. We just only have so much time. So
That's right.
Tell us about some of the movies that you would have put on this list. And speak up to what you want to hear going forward in the future. Are there any movie genres
Give
or
us topic ideas,
topic classifications? You know, just how can we group movies together so that we can judge them and make recommendations for you? Dani, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I hope you had a good time. Before we sign off, are there any places online or any directions that you want to send our listeners to follow you or to reach out to you in any way?
Yeah, of course. I have Instagram. It's under Dani Parker. It's DaniPark0UR.
That's just the camera. Don't
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
We're still recording.
You're good.
Me too.
No, you're good.
Dani
The
Parker.
gram. Yeah.
Dani Park, what a
I'm
clever
on
name.
IMDb.
Yeah,
Also,
absolutely.
look me up.
Any projects that you have coming out that you want to direct people towards to check out?
We have a production company out in Chicago that I've been working with. It's called Myth Weaver. So we'll be putting out some TV shows coming out, like little episodes. They'll be online format, so anybody can watch them.
Okay.
I'll be posting about that on my Instagram all the time. They'll probably be on
Excellent.
my
So if you
IMDb.
follow Dani, then you'll get all the updated news.
Yeah.
Joe, how can people reach out to you?
Well, they can reach me on the gram at chaotic_artisan, or as she said on IMDb under Joseph Sheldon Quick. Yeah, or anywhere this podcast is available. Reach out, get involved in the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can reach out to me at Beeford Clark, or you can go to our website, ufpodcast.podbean.com. I'll get our website correct one time. It's always in the notes, so you can always just click on it. You can join us on Facebook at Unorthodox Film Podcast. We are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever fine podcasting media is available. You can check out our merch store, the UFO Bazaar. Links are directly through the UFO podcast or in the show notes. So thank you, everybody. And again, we'd love to hear back from you. Like, follow, subscribe, give us a comment, give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know if we're entertaining you positively or negatively. As long as you're laughing, whether it's at me or with me, I really don't give a shit. As long as you come back.
I'm definitely laughing at you, Brad, just so you know.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.